again. It's me, Bianca and Liana. I'm trying to get I keep on trying to get it right, pointing, but I'm like, wait, oop, oop. But yeah, we just also by now have all seen Turning Red, which is going to be the main focus of our discussion, and I loved it. I really loved it, and Liana, I've seen your tweets. I know you love it. Bianca, what about you?
I was like, I see people talk about the good things, and now that the movie's released, I'm looking at the bad things, or I
Hmm.
guess what we can be considered negative. And after watching the movie, those negative stuff don't really hold up.
No, they don't. Ugh. Okay, so
I
let's.
I
Yeah, yeah.
don't understand. I don't understand some of the responses to this movie. And honestly, I'm not saying they're wrong because it's when someone says I couldn't relate to it,
Hmm.
okay, but my thought is they expect everybody else to relate to uh, Batman, even
Yeah,
though most of us don't know what it's like to be a rich orphan. We pick
exactly.
up on it the way we pick up on it. We don't need the exact same background
Uh,
as, and I
yeah.
guess because I used to work at the music station that they were basing the stuff in that movie about. I have
Hmm.
more of a point of reference than most people, but I don't know. Everybody knows what boy bands are. Everybody knows what those teenage years are like. They
Hmm.
had enough other like supporting characters with their own story arcs
Yep.
that I don't know how somebody couldn't find something to relate to in this movie.
How many fathers have had have their daughters going through it? How many people women have at that one time went through it? Do they have to be Chinese Canadian? No, they don't have to be.
And so I mean, I'm really surprised people don't understand immigrant family pressure.
Yeah.
And even I don't think you necessarily have to just be immigrants to have family pressure. I mean, pretty much every millennial has that anxiety, right?
Very
Hmm.
much so.
Yeah.
And yeah, but okay, but let's go over through the movie top to bottom. So spoilers, it's gonna be a spoiler talk. But from the start of it all, we're introduced to Mei Mei or Mei Ling. I just stick with Mei Mei. I that's a cute nickname. I love that. But but yeah, we're introduced to her, and she is this overachieving but feels so sure of herself type of young woman. And I love how they open up with her talking about how you're raised to believe you should respect your parents. And basically, the whole notion of that opening is that don't go overboard with respecting your parents. But obviously, otherwise you'll lose who you are. But she's so convinced, oh, that don't apply to me. But it's at the same time we later find out throughout this whole thing, she thinks like she gets perfect grades. She does all this stuff. She feels like I'm I'm my own woman and everything. I can do whatever I want. And she hangs out with her friends, which, and with some exceptions to one of them, I liked her posse of friends. I mean,
I
yeah.
I did too. Miriam was the one I was like, oh, Disney's had a rough week.
Oh, yeah.
After all the you
She
hate
is
gay
so clearly,
people,
she is so clearly bi at the very least.
Miriam and Tyler in
Yes.
that, and they
Well, and
didn't.
what's the other girl? Piran or how do you say her name? Because there was that thing with her
Oh,
and that Goth girl.
pure. I want to say Puranka, but that's
Brianna,
Tyra.
Priyanka
Brianna.
Chopra.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's that little stuff with her and the Goth girl at the party
Priya.
later.
That's right.
Priya.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff with her and the
Priya.
Goth girl later. It seems to imply that there's something up with her. So they're either all bi or just don't realize where they're at yet.
I don't know. Abby, is that her name? Abby, Addie.
Abby
Abby,
is
the
the
Korean
Korean
girl.
girl. The Korean girl.
She was, she
Oh,
reminded
her
me a lot
aggression
of one of
did.
my sister's friends.
Yeah, her
So
aggression kind of put me off at first, especially when she just out of the blue said, "Burn the whole place down." It's like, uh,
but that's what teenage girls are like sometimes.
well, I didn't interact with many of them in high school, just a
Yeah,
few.
but it's real, But yeah, I thought it was a very honest, a very so honest a portrayal of
Hmm.
teenage girls. I would like more of it because I want to see more movies that admit that teenage girls have unquenchable thirst. You
Oh
know?
yeah, especially when they see that guy, and I love their reasons when they see this guy at the convenience store. It's like I just love how May is just May is just like, she looks like a hobo. He looks like a hobo, a hot hobo, and then she brings up the boy band, and oh hey nerdette.
I've seen hotter hobos. Just
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I just love it, and she's like, forget, remember the four, oh what they call
Four Town.
Or town, and even though there's five of them, love how they actually reference that. But yeah, and then it's like,
they got two errands.
yep, I know what Fort Town, really expensive, and they travel around. This guy is here, and we can all go to him for free.
Okay, that was Four Town. It's amazing how many people don't remember the boy band O-Town.
O-Town, I remembered the name. I never actually do not recall any of their music. Yeah, Black Phoenix, we're talking about the Panda movie.
Yeah, they were a Build-A-Band. It was a reality TV show that it's called Making the Band or something like that. And
Hey, Sage, that's perfectly fine. Sorry to say, Sage, that's perfectly fine. You can feel that way, all right? We'll get into our issues. It's with the people who assume stuff about the movie before it even came out.
Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I don't really connect to.
I literally just finished
stuff.
Yeah, the end credits are going on right now.
Oh, the end credits are going. Oh, excellent. Yeah,
Tristan, look at what Tristan. I heard it was woke.
Is that what people are saying?
Not.
It's not. In fact, I think it's anti-woke in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah. I mean,
what's considered woke nowadays?
Really? Yeah, it's
exactly
woke. I actually spent all last week on Twitter trying to get a working definition of woke, and on what we came up with on Twitter was that it's progressivism that's actually bigoted, and that doesn't apply to this movie.
Not at all. At all.
It was just a really honest take on. And what I thought was interesting about it is there were certain things, if you know Canada and Toronto, they deliberately made certain anachronisms, like the money is modern money,
right?
And the stadium was called Sky Dome at the time, but that was a blue and yellow logo.
Yeah.
Now it's the Rogers Center and a red logo, so they use Sky Dome with a red logo. So it was almost like they were dealing with the fact that, okay, it was O-Town back in the day, it was New Kids on the Block in the 80s. Now it's BTS, but this happens with every generation of teen girls.
Yep. Although even they had Billie Eilish actually work on, make the song.
That was surprising.
Yeah, because it's like, wow, she came up with lyrics that perfectly fit a 2000 era boy band.
Well,
she was part of that era too, so she.
Yep, and wasn't her brother? I think did some of the singing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the lead singer of that main vocal we hear from them.
Her brother's her songwriting partner, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. But basically though, we're introduced to them, and what I like best then is that her friends, they're convinced she's brainwashed by her parents and everything, because basically this whole notion that she thinks she has all this freedom, technically she doesn't, but it's not as bad as you would normally think. Like, normally when you have a moment where you think, oh, the parents overbearing, they usually play it up where like they don't like the parents, or they're well aware of it, or they're miserable. No. She loves doing the temple work. You could tell she's having fun doing it. She is having like a blast because she loves doing the calm, preparing herself for everything with her mom. She loves the sweeping. I love the part where they see those guys vandalizing. They're like, hey, get away from that.
I'm calling your mothers.
I'm calling your mothers. Exactly. Again, you can see she's having a good time with her mother in this regard. It's only afterwards when they see the stuff about the bank, Fort Town, that we see a bit of her mother being really strict, heavy-handed, and then talking bad about her friend, which makes you wonder, has May told her mother how close of a friend she is with Miriam? Or do you think her mother just thinks she just hangs out?
That was a...
Because what mother does that?
I want to be careful with this because,
What mother does that if they know that they're the best friend?
No,
my mom doesn't care.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm not used to that because with my mom, if I had a best friend, she would not talk bad about them in front of me unless there was something wrong.
Mom guilt is real, and mom guilt makes moms go psycho.
Oh,
I
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
yeah,
Well, she
mom.
is a bit controlling when you see her like talking about her schoolwork, which is normal, like not even for
Mm-hmm.
Asians, but for a lot of immigrant
Yeah,
parents as well. And so
yeah.
she's like, tomorrow U.S. general, and
And
I'm like,
UN
what?
Security General. They kept it to something vague but global. So they said
Oh, I said
UN.
U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
UN.
And so
Yeah.
I'm like, really, you choosing her careers?
I think, to be fair, I don't know if that was the case of her. You can look at it one way or the other. Was she choosing
Mhm.
her career, or was she just shooting for a big, like end goal? But she's not going to push her in that way. It'd be like who knows where you could go.
I mean, when I'll give an example. In high school, I went to this academy.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every single black person, which is like African, Haitian, mostly
Mm-hmm.
Haitians, Nigerians, whatever descent, almost every single one of them was in nursing because of their parents.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
again.
was like, there was a person who was visiting, and he gave a speech, and he's like, I know there's a lot of kids who don't want to be in nursing, but we found out there's a lot of black people, immigrant people, who will put their kids in nursing, and you're going to talk to your parents about that. Every single black person there was like, yes, please talk to our parents. Praise the Lord. And I was like, wait, are you guys serious? You're not doing it because you want to, you're doing it because you're told to? And
Oh, wait,
it
wait,
was
wait.
such an
How many?
eye opener.
What do you mean you're having trouble with the chat? Oh, no. How many? It's because most of these people look like they're coming from Bianca's side.
I got 4 people on my side, but that's probably including me.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting
So I think
because
that's what. So he's seen them here because I have the chat window open. But these are being coming over from Bianca's chat, and he's the one wondering why they're not popping up on my end.
I'm seeing paired, but I'm not seeing it on my chat. So
Yeah, that's
something is
weird.
going a bit goofy, but
That is weird because I know from Tristan's streaming with you, yours would pop up as well. So
yeah, I don't something is a little weird going on here, but
uh,
I can see them through Restream. I just can't see them in
yeah,
the native Twitch chat.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So well, that's what it is. This is basically right here is combining everyone paired up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, but like I was saying, I do like how there's no clear cut bad guy. The mother is overbearing, but she's not bad about. Well,
No.
she is bad to a point, but not in all regards. She and May loves her mother,
Yeah.
but that's the problem as well. She wants her mother's approval
Mom is what we would call a tiger mom.
or a helicopter
I
parent.
love that.
Yeah, no, there was a thing a while back. Somebody wrote a book about being a tiger mom,
Isn't that
and
the
it
same as a helicopter parent?
not quite the same. You don't hover over your kid quite the same way, uh, because you want to put the fear of God into them, so you don't have to.
Oh,
But the spying on the kids in school that has happened.
mhm. Oh,
That
that's
was
what happened with
based
the
on reality.
director. The director said her mother did the same thing.
The little tangible details like the boring gold car,
Mm-hmm.
that was a thing with the
Wait, Amy
Chinese
freaking Chow. What?
that's Tiger Mom. She
Oh,
wrote the Tiger Mom book.
oh.
Uh yeah,
Oh.
the gold every Asian shouldn't say every, but a lot of Asian families in the Toronto area had
Mm-hmm.
a gold Toyota Camry or Lexus
Mm-hmm.
at the time because it was gold, right?
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
little details like that, I'm like, all right, they
I'm not
know
good with cars.
they combined like 3 or 4 different neighborhoods for the movie because the Toronto has a bunch of Chinatowns. And so they like represented each one in a different way, even though it was primarily the old school Spadina Chinatown. Broadview Chinatown got in a little bit. Markham Unionville got in there a little bit. A little bit of Brampton got a shout out. That's more South Asian than Asian, but the people doing
Mm-hmm.
it definitely knew Toronto, except they kept saying Toronto instead of
Mhm.
Toronto. They were, but I suspect that's just so it wouldn't confuse Americans. What are they
Yeah,
saying? Yeah.
yeah, but also now you are both are aware that it's the same director who did that Pixar short Bow,
Wow.
correct?
Yeah.
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 And
You- oh,
co-directed Brave, I believe.
yes.
And
Yes.
she's been at Pixar for quite a
Oh
while.
yeah, a long time.
Hmm.
She's been storyboard artist since Toy Story 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is her first time doing it, and yes, on the documentary they do push how it's mostly women in the higher up position. Not all women, but mostly women. But for the most part, I think that works to this movie's advantage in this case.
Well, because it's about girls. So
Exactly. And I do also remember there was that whole point that people, okay, someone please explain to me why that there are people who are having a conniption fit that they talk about periods bluntly and as a metaphor throughout all of this? I mean, the blunt parts was a joke. The mother thought she was actually having her period, not realizing she turned into the panda, which I think, given how old her mother is, when we see in a bit of her looking at her mother in the past, means that it's happening a lot sooner than it should have.
well, I mean, there is that overwhelming emotional states thing. It was all sort of a metaphor
Well, yeah,
for when, hey, you're turning. And I mean, it starts with some girls at 11
right,
nowadays, but hey, you're hitting a certain age. Those
right.
hormones are kicking in.
But why
You
is it a
become a
bad thing?
lunatic.
I've saw some
Um,
people saying stuff like, why is Disney and Pixar teaching my kid about puberty?" It's like,
I mean, when we're talking about boy puberty, like or in their first crushes or whatever, nobody bats an
yeah,
eye for that.
exactly.
But I feel
how
like it's still a taboo thing to speak in for females. I mean, if you want to hear a Disney teaching about your kid's puberty, that exists. I don't remember
Hmm.
what year. It was
yeah.
40 through the 60s, but they made a whole thing about women's periods, which obviously is out of
Oh,
date
really?
right
Outdated
now.
as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
I saw that and I'm like, "I didn't know Disney made stuff to teach girls about their periods."
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like, why are they acting like, how dare they? It was like, they're not teaching them anything. They're just telling a story that emphasizes on it and shows through its own way a person going through it, but through a metaphor, and they reference it bluntly as a joke.
It's just kind of weird that they did the whole coming of age for boys things and everything from like American Pie to Harry Potter.
Hmm.
And that's not seen as, there's that
Well, I don't
whole,
think people even realize that, because I've seen so many people saying, "Well, are they ever going to do a movie about a guy, about going through puberty?" It's like they do that all the time. It's when they become a man.
all all the time. There's like
BTS has a
things,
song about going through your hormones, which is considered sexist sometimes.
but I
It's
mean
like,
all those, liking girls that I mean the early Spider-Man
exactly.
movies were kind of like that. The Tom Holland Spider-Man movies were focused on they were 15 years old, all those
I know.
movies with like, you know,
Yeah, I don't get
premature
it.
ejaculation and all that stuff. They do it. It just
Well,
unfortunately some people have managed to get through life shrink wrapped. And now
yes,
the shrink wrap is coming off and they can't handle it.
exactly, and it's well, it's just like the stuff with May May going on with her mother again being a helicopter. Although I do
Yeah,
like her
comments.
reason. I do like her reason saying like, "I saw you more time. You're a child. I saw if I watched you like a hawk, I would know the signs." And I just love how even then her mother thought she had it all planned out, and now it's just falling apart on her.
See, I have my theories about the mom. I have
Really?
a theory about
Yep.
Ming. Well, okay, there are a bunch of little codes, right?
Hmm.
I think Ming was actually the first generation Canadian because she doesn't
That's a
have an
very good
accent.
possibility.
They
Yep.
don't speak Chinese at home. So it's a Cantonese at home.
Cantonese.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and as the Creed said in the chat, she never cleaned under her daughter's bed. She's slipping a little. She's
True.
slipping.
That is true, but they do make clear that they've been there ever since they came to the New World, and they've been here long enough to develop it as a tradition, a ritual. It doesn't seem like something that her grandmother came up with. This feels like something that's been going on for a long
Grandma
time. So,
Grandma was the one who came over.
yes.
Is my read on it. Partially because she's Madame Gal from Daredevil, the
Yeah.
lady who did the voice.
Oh,
So that was just perfect
oh.
casting. You
Mm-hmm.
immediately go, ah, she's
Oh,
terrifying.
and again, you think she's going to be some big, like overarching like tyrant or something. I just loved it. The moment her husband says, "Here's your mom," I'm right here.
I
Her just,
saw that coming.
I saw it coming, but I just love Sandra Oh's react. Sandra Oh dominated this movie. Let's be
So
honest.
good.
I
You
don't
know,
know. Everybody was so good. I can't think of one person that dominated it.
yep. On James Hong, you have to have James Hong in here. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
you have to.
The girls were all good, and the performances were fairly nuanced. I mean, going back to Miriam and how quickly she was like, well, if one of us can't go, none of us can go, because she wasn't really into the boy bands as much as she was pretending to be. She was into May May.
Oh yeah, you don't make a tape of a recording disc like that for someone that you're just even your bestest friend, unless there's somebody else going on.
That was
I know none of this stuff. I'm sorry.
See, that was the 90s way to say you liked somebody, and I didn't know that for so many years, so I was clueless. I got a lot of really good.
I found out now.
Yeah, no, that
Well, you're younger. You're younger.
Well, that was
no,
the thing,
I'm
and
pretty people making mixtapes for other people.
Well, it became more of a
thing.
casual. It became more of a casual thing now.
Yeah.
Beforehand, it used to actually mean something more in like the '90s and all that.
Because
like,
weren't you guys born in the '80s though?
Oh, born in, but not, but grow up in, especially by the time of that stuff going on.
Well, this took place in 2002, so it was sort of late.
Look at it, yeah.
Boys in Sync. Yeah, well, you had to record it. You had to burn the CD, and that meant you had to have a CD burner that not everybody.
You were going the extra mile, so you had to go the extra mile.
My cousin definitely does not have, by the way.
Yeah. So you had to do that, and then you had to make some sort of jewel case art. So it took effort. I never threw out any of the what we would call now pirated content.
Yes. Oh, geez. I still remember that intro. I still remember those commercials, that rocking music every time, it was saying, like, you wouldn't do this, you wouldn't do that, you don't pirate a movie.
That was how I got into Pearl Jam, is somebody made me a mixtape. Like, just copied Pearl Jam's 10. And I kept it. I didn't know what it meant, but I kept
tape plus Pen Dilemma. Agreed. Who else? And who remembers that?
Yes.
Yep.
No, don't break. Yeah.
And funny enough, because of my age, people think I wouldn't understand that, and I'm like, no, it's like from my household. I mean, I obviously wasn't rich, but I wasn't too poor to be considered poor, just financially unstable. So I had other older stuff, that was like handed down.
But let's get back with the movie. When we have that whole bit, they see this convenience store guy, Devin, and all that, and her other three friends are completely heads over heels in love, or crushing on him. He's probably the closest thing they can get to someone that's four-town, level of hotness and all that. And May is just like, Peh.
Just because he's older.
His face was rather like. He looked like depression.
I looked at it more like he was just broken by the system of working in a convenience store. Just like,
and he's only 17. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but when she's doing some doodle, she starts doodling him, and then just starts that's when you tell her hormones kicked in, as she then sneaks under the book and under her bed and just starts drawing all this stuff. And
think about Stranger Things, right? They did almost that exact same storyline, and nobody went, "This wasn't relatable. Why are they doing this? Why?"
Exactly. What? Why? Is it because everything else? But
it's just because it's a female-centered story.
I know. And then her mom comes in, sees all, and like, "Why would you do this?" And then dries up there, chews him out. And this is another case where you could tell this is why it works in the 2000s. It's quite clear. If that was happening down nowadays, there would be much worse ramifications.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been called a Karen moment.
Well, yeah, especially of the you lost a loyal customer, and I'm like, hey, that's what I got at my store.
Yeah, back then, no, that was a drama queen. That was just I think it's quite clear the town knows that Ming is a drama queen. I think it's quite clear.
She's wound quite tight.
Exactly, but then But then that moment when they get back home and you see Maze, she's like, "Why did you draw all that horrible, sexy stuff?" It's just like that's the moment when you realize right there the pressure she's putting on herself.
But was that a Luca callback, the mermaid guy?
Yes,
I
I
didn't
think
understand
those.
why a mermaid.
I still haven't seen Luca. I should see Luca.
I haven't seen it either, but that's what I think it was. But I'm just saying, when she's just that whole moment before she goes to bed of her just chastising herself, you feel bad for her, don't you? You just feel like,
I felt super bad.
yeah, you feel like, oh, you poor thing. It's just like she's, yeah, condemning herself for what she did because she doesn't want to lose her mother's respect. So it's like, yeah, you like it, but you don't want to lose your mom's respect. So this is never going to happen again. Got it?
Well, it's also a Disney-fied moment of the conflicting messages that society gives girls of that age about any sexual thoughts or desires or urges, right? Like they couldn't go all the way there. Like they couldn't go Euphoria or 13 Reasons Why with this, right? But it was, there were so many things in this movie that it was there if you could relate to it. If you couldn't, it just passed you by and didn't punch you in the face.
Exactly.
I mean, personally, I know a lot of people are saying that it's could be a metaphor for periods and stuff. But that's if you're
the creators made it clear it was.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, hold on.
Sorry.
But like, I was having so much fun with the movie that I didn't even think about the metaphor. I realized it was there.
Yeah.
Like I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, but it's like once you become the panda, she's hairy, she's smelly, she's emotional, she's horny.
I did not get the hairy part. Dang it! I could have gotten the hairy part. What the heck?
It's an overall puberty metaphor. I think it's not just about periods. It's just puberty.
Well, yeah.
In general,
Momo liked it too.
Yep.
Momo really liked it. Momo's kind of a panda cat, so I think he approved. But there were a few times with certain expressions, I'm like, this is a movie about what would have happened if Momo and I were the same person. Pretty much.
Yep. But I do like how she figured it out on her own to calm down and everything. And just, again, even the behind the scenes, they make this clear. She figures it out and she thinks, okay, so I have to go about the rest of my life just being completely in control. It's like, that's never going to work.
But that's what I think a lot of young women think, that they can't feel their feelings because there is a lot of shame whenever you have sort of this and the only acceptable catharsis permission structure for girls that age is going psychotic at a boy band show.
Yeah.
I've gone to one boy band concert in my life as just an attendee. New Kids on the Block at Exhibition Stadium. And my ears were ringing so badly from all the screaming in that place. And it was an open air venue. I was like dizzy and overwhelmed, and I was kind of terrified by the whole thing, but much more like I was much more like Miriam in that way of I pretended to like boy bands because everybody liked boy bands, but I would always pick the boy band member that seemed to have the least number of friends because I felt bad for that guy. So it was just kind of funny to see myself represented in that way in this movie, that they recognize that individual mileage may vary with and I thought Miriam was kind of trying too hard with Devin as well.
Oh yeah,
like, oh, he's so, but the way she delivered.
Oh yeah. Hook a girl up. I mean, you could tell of all of them, Abby was the one that was really into him.
Yes, yeah, Abby was that.
It's legitimately
boy crazy.
I know, and she's like, he goes to my mother's salon, and I touched his hair. It's really soft. Hey, give me some of that. Yeah, hook a girl up. It's like,
yeah,
who does that? They're just going along with it. Felt like.
I liked how Priya was more. She's probably first generation immigrant because she had more of that reserved.
Yeah, except for certain moments. Except for certain
moments, right?
Yeah, like when they first see her. Now, she becomes a panda. And then, oh God, her mother, Ming, coming to the school. Again, to give her, you forgot because earlier she thinks she's going through her periods, and she gives her a bunch of tampons, and she's coming in with a box of them, and that you're just like, oh god! And of course, that's
I
the last we see the direct parallels to periods. It's that moment, and the whole point of it was for Mei Mei to blow up and into the panda, and then run out of the school.
But every teenage girl has either had their mother do something like that or seen someone else's mother do something like that, and it's mortifying.
Oh yeah, and I just and just the fact that they were, like it was so because she was ready to do math. Everyone else was like, "Oh no!" Oh, by the way, oh yeah, brings up
Yeah.
William Hurt. Yeah, that was
Who's
devastating.
that?
General Ross from Incredible Hulk, Civil War, Black Widow.
Um,
I remember him from movies back in the day.
Oh yeah,
I forgot that was.
wait, which Hulk movie?
Incredible. So not the Ang Lee Hulk. That was Sam Elliott. The fact that he was on par with Sam Elliott as far as doing, General
That's the
Ross.
second one, right?
Yes, the second one.
Oh, okay.
Again, he was the one that was also in Civil War and in Black Widow.
I don't
God, I
remember
remember-
him in Civil War or Black Widow.
Oh yeah. He was the one who was telling them about the about the Accord and everything.
See, I
Nope.
remember him
My
from things
memory's a
like
goldfish.
Children. I remember
Yeah.
him things like Kiss of the Spider Woman and Children of a Lesser God
Oh, yeah.
and Gorky Park. Like it's going back. The
Oh, yeah, he's
Accidental
been a-
Tourist.
Yeah,
Do you remember
Yeah,
that movie, The Doctor?
I think so.
The one where the doctor becomes a patient in the medical system because he gets out of something like brain cancer or something like that.
Oh,
It would be considered so like syrupy by today's standards, but he was in a lot of stuff.
Oh, a lot of. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, History of Violence.
That's an excellent movie. If anybody
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
seen it, fantastic movie.
I love violence.
not what it means.
Yeah, no,
Dang
it's
it.
actually based on a comic book.
Yeah,
graphic
yeah.
novel,
By,
anyway.
I
Yeah.
love comic books.
yeah,
There
it's
you
based off on the
go.
graphic novel by John Wagner.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
Oh, he was in AI, Artificial Intelligence.
That movie
I feel
was
like I
strangely
heard that
creepy.
one.
It was. That was.
I wouldn't suggest seeing that one. That was
No,
bad.
well, no, it's a Kubrick movie directed by Spielberg.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
seems like it.
Yeah.
It was creepy.
Anyway, back to Turning Red. So yeah, she's running through town and everything. She sees Devin one more. This is the last time we see him throughout the whole movie, but I love how she has the awooga. Woo! I
That
love
reminded
that.
me of the older cartoons. I love that. But I wanted
Exactly.
the
She's just thumping her foot.
out.
Yeah, she's just thumping her foot and just goes awooga.
You know what moment I thought was a nice little shot? To me, it was a Square Enix video
Mhm.
game moment where they
Mhm.
all did, the trails going up and they're in front of the moon and it's like,
Yep,
ding, and
yep.
it was like a Kingdom Hearts scene or something
Yeah.
like that. I thought that was a nice little homage too.
Yeah, but yeah, she makes it home, and once she finally just runs into the temple and starts crying again. I felt so bad for her. That's the tears. The actress. Now, this actress, I forget her name, but the one doing Mei Mei, she was a temporary voice character. The temporary voices, but they couldn't find anyone. They couldn't find someone that could both match the energy and bounce off of Sandra Oh, at all. Until Rosalind Chang. They didn't. Yeah, then they decided. Wait, she works. Let's ask her, and they got her on. I think this is one of her first main roles, and it worked. I thought she was a pro. Was how much she nailed it.
There's a few people who've started at Disney doing fill-in voices, and then they just decided, no, we like your voice. They do that. They do fill-in voices for the storyboards
Mm-hmm.
so that they can get it down, and then just bring in the big name actor and stripe over it. But every so often, they're like, no, we can't find anything better than this. We're just gonna go with that. So I mean,
Sometimes
good
it's
for
the
her.
director. Sometimes it's the director or the storyboard artist who gets it, like Roz from Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
Hello, boys, or
yeah, it
or
was pretty
Brad
good.
Bird or Brad Bird doing
Edna.
Edna Mode.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
there's loads of what you're like, we can't think of anyone else. So in her case, that worked. But again, but that moment when she's running through and she's crying, I felt so bad for her because you're just like, this is a girl who's been embarrassed and then freaking out in both at once, embarrassed and freaking out.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting how many themes are in common with Encanto,
Yeah.
with that pressure on
Hmm.
kids of immigrant families, and I think it's odd that Encanto was sort of embraced, maybe because it had that feature animation pedigree of it, but
Hmm.
I mean, maybe people just felt more emboldened because Turning Red was sort of a smaller scale movie, but I don't know why people were like, this isn't relatable or this is woke, or I still, is it just that people think that's what you're supposed to say?
I don't know, and other people because it's like, oh, it's the Cal art style with the Bean Mouse. What was that other Pixar movie
Oh,
again? We just mentioned Lucanto.
Luca?
No,
Luca?
no,
Oh,
not
never mind.
Encanto. No, no, the other
Luca?
one. Luca.
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 Luca,
Same,
yes.
same style. Same style.
The backgrounds were more realism, less. And I mean, okay, there are those bright colors in certain neighborhoods of downtown Toronto. That's the thing. There's this
Hmm.
this, this layer of grime
Oh
over
yeah.
them until it rains, then it kind of washes it off from all the cars. But yeah, maybe it was the Cal art style. I can see the Cal art style putting some people off.
It felt more like the guys who do Walls and Gromit. It felt more like that. At
I
least with May
thought
Oh,
May.
I'm just crackers
With May,
about cheese.
yeah,
I thought
with May May and her friends. It was Ming. No, Ming looked normal compared to May May.
I thought they were doing like, yeah, chibi, like kawaii style, not
Yeah.
Cal Arts. I mean, Cal Arts steals from kawaii,
Hmm.
and so people are falsely attributing the origin of it.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, How to Train
I
Your
definitely
Mummy
see it.
and like anime and manga like that. It's that style. It's my Steam icon, the little chibi person holding up the sign lewd. It's that
Yep.
style, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And again, but again, when May May makes it home, and then Ming just goes up. You could just so see Ming. It's just like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, this is the woman who's had it all planned out, and then the stage
Mhm.
just threw everything out the window. And then Jin, or the father comes in, like, it happened already. And again, loved in the trailer. I loved it here. That moment when Ming is just like, she's just like, you had to say it. And of
I
course, May May's like, what did you say?
I admit I loved the dad.
The
Hmm.
dad was
Oh,
great.
I
it
loved
reminds me of
him.
Greg Universe, where the whole idea is you would think if this was truly a woke production, the dad would be useless. The dad would be complete and utter, load.
He
And yet here, no, the dad is like the real, parental figure out of all of this.
he reminds me of a couple of friends of mine, but also, believe it or not, my hairdresser. My
Oh,
hairdresser
really?
yeah, and his wife is kind of like Ming, like on her last nerve frequently. And they're business owners, and so her name's actually Ling.
Hmm.
And so she's like, and everything has to be lucky and this and that, and everything has to be perfect, and the whole place is decked out for Lunar New Year and all that stuff. And he's the one who sort of accepts his kids as they are, but he will be completely honest about their flaws in a
Yeah.
very loving way, but
Hmm.
he doesn't expect his kids to be perfect. He expects his kids to not BS them. And
Yes.
it really reminded me of that sort of more modern Asian parent
Yeah.
who has sort of gone through, he would have, as a boy, would have had that pressure, and he probably made the
Hmm.
decision, I'm not going to do that to my kid.
Oh wait, this person Ration 12. Are
Russian
you talking about that
Sean
guy?
O'Connell.
Yeah,
Who? What?
he's the guy who did that review, and he basically said, "Oh, I can't. My wife and I couldn't get into it. We watched it, and this is meant for a very specific audience." I don't think he was being racist. I just think he just truly felt that way, and he let it out. Do you think he
It
was
is. It's
racist?
very for a
Oh,
specific audience. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. There's nothing
okay,
wrong with it.
I made a video about this tomorrow. I go into this more in depth
Hmm.
because I'm like, who is this guy? This
Who
guy
dis?
wrote, yeah, who this? See if Bianca
Who this?
understands.
Yeah, I who this?
I immediately went back to my childhood, went Caribbean, and who this? Got to find out.
Hmm.
But this guy actually wrote a book on releasing the Snyder cut of the Justice League movie.
One of
And
those types.
His Twitter banner is the Alex Ross of Superman and Spider-Man in space. And I'm like, wait, hold up, dude, hold up. You have Superman and Spider-Man in your banner. Both of those characters were inspired by the Jewish children of immigrants experience in the 30s and the 50s, and you can't relate to this movie, which is exceptionally the same thing, just with a later immigrant wave.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's a generational thing, but I related it to, ouch, frick. I related it to it no problem, even though my mom is not that strict.
I think calling it racist goes a little bit too far.
Yeah, I don't think who's racist.
I don't jump on me, guys, please. This is why the term privilege is like, I don't think. This is why it's not an advantage. It's a privilege. Because what happens when you get a lot of special privileges? You get lazy and sloppy.
Exactly. Which I think that might explain to, okay, deviating for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, people, I've noticed that, and I come to a realization why things have gotten so much worse for people saying this is woke, that is woke, and all that. And I do think it boils down to, and when you think about it, look back at so much media. 90% of it have white main characters that we said have been the long-lasting ones. You know what I mean? And majority of those are ones that they just happen to be white, but if you really look at it, their race is not the main part of them. Yeah?
Okay, but go back to these superheroes again, like Spider-Man, Superman, right? Both have secret identities. Yeah, both have secret identity. Hey, Dr. Soup.
Yep.
Both of them have secret identities. That was rooted in kids
Irish.
born in America to Jewish families.
Yeah.
Passing. So
yes.
Stan Lee, it was Stanley Leibowitz, okay? He
yeah, exactly.
That's always Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, right? Kal-El, it's a Hebrew name, like literally based on Hebrew. The suffix L is like a god. So all the idea of a secret identity that you had to hide from the world to protect your loved ones came.
Oh, that's tough to hear, Soup. That's tough to hear.
Sorry, you're sick, Soup. But yeah, it came from the Jewish American experience of the time. No different than using animals and kind of the lunar stuff, and it's just a different tradition, but it's all doing the same thing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that, but when you look at it though, how many of these have had their whiteness be a defining part of their character other than, oh, they were created and looked white? But yeah, when they say, oh, well, what about having a white Black Panther or a white Luke Cage? It's like their backstories are tied into something that you can't do that.
You can do a white Spawn, can't you?
I don't what? White Spawn, possibly. I wouldn't want it, but yes, Spawn is one of those characters where his blackness is not associated with him.
What about what's that vampire killer guy?
Blade, same thing. Especially when it was revealed he is half white. Actually,
yeah.
Oh, so
yeah, he actually is half white. They revealed that during a 2006 series.
See, the one I don't think I'm going to be able to accept is Shuri as Black Panther.
Oh,
and
really?
hear me out. Yeah, hear me out. Okay, because
right.
I do think we need the example, like for Black boys. Black boys need heroes in a unique way.
Oh yeah, right? And I think they said, didn't they say
she's not going to be Black Panther?
Or if she is, it's going to be for a brief moment, and then by the end of it, it's just to honor her brother.
I'm on Team M'Baku. Like, I think I want him to be the new Black Panther.
It's going to be somebody else.
I just think Black Panther should be male.
Oh, agree.
It is going to be male.
I don't think Sam Wilson should have to carry the Black man of the Marvel Cinematic Universe thing.
Oh, I agree.
We need multiple examples of, specifically because we need those role models for little boys, and not everything can just gender swap. I actually think gender for a lot of these characters. Now, Black Panther stays black. Please stay black. I would, John Stewart is my favorite Green Lantern of all of them because of the way he uses his ring powers as an archetype.
But now
right?
he's
But
taking the white
that was
man
introduced
role,
later.
tokenized.
But that was
Yeah.
introduced later, though, the architect stuff.
Yeah, but I like that. I think he has a different it's a different kind of imagination, and I think that's really interesting. But black boys need heroes, and
Oh, and I agree. And whenever
yeah,
you think, why don't they make new ones? It's like,
We're
and
gonna
they
be seeing a
gotta
lot of new ones in the multiverse.
yeah.
yeah.
Now again, I would say though, should Peter Parker? Here's the thing. This is why I like when you have some of these black replacement, alternatives like Miles or Calvin and all that, where now you don't have to worry about a black, like a black Peter when you have Miles who's not Black Peter. You have people who say he is, but other people
Black
are like,
Sparta Pete is something very, very different. Let's stick a pin in that. Do you know what Black Peter is? Oh God, it's
no, I don't know. I want to know.
Is it the punk one?
no, the Dutch character where it's like a Kris Kringle character, but his sleigh is pulled by black men. So let's be real careful with Black Peter on this.
Black Peter Parker. Black Peter Parker. All right,
if you want the Latino Peter Parker, or
but that's Miles too.
I mean Miles too. Yeah, Miles is added.
Yeah.
He's both.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying though, right? It's just like you have somebody, or like heck, even Jace Fox, wish he was written better, but at least now we don't have to say give us a black Bruce Wade.
But I see. I don't understand this. Take the character, make it a different character, but call it the same character.
Oh no, I agree with that. Well, it's legacy. It's legacy, and I do appreciate because I'm used to through DC there being legacies. Like how many Flashes have we had? How many? Even with Green Lantern, I know it's the Green Lantern Corps, but they still pass the rings on to certain people. Or as bad, Azrael Batman.
Rob,
There's a lot of different Spider Girls.
But you nailed it. It's the passing of the torch that they have to get right. That's why I thought Falcon and Winter Soldier worked in a way that some of these other legacy characters haven't worked, because it actually was the story of how Sam figured out how to make the shield work for him, like literally and figuratively, culminating in that banging Captain America speech in the last episode.
Yes, and like even when you had Bucky become Cap, it was part of Brubaker's story, and I think that's the other thing is when these people do it, and this is where we have had a problem with some characters getting it. There was always a story reason. There was a story reason behind Rhodey getting it. You know what I mean? When Rhodey had it because Tony lost his company. He was becoming a mess. You need someone else to fill in the void while Tony focused entirely on building up his company. Now, of course, when that was a creator after Rhodey's creators decided to do it. They were saying, no, we do not want to put him in the Iron Man suit. Then Danny O'Neill says, well, I got a story to tell. I'm putting him in the suit. Right. And then eventually they get someone else put him in the War Machine suit. You had and again, you had Bucky doing it because you had a story. Even Lady Sword, there was a story. But it does feel like you do have some characters these days who are doing it just for the sake of shake-up. That there is no... Riri is the worst. Riri is the worst.
Does anybody, though, breaking my own rule here, does anybody feel like Monica Rambeau could take over for Captain Marvel in the MCU and I'd be perfectly good with
she
that?
did. Yeah. She did. Yeah. She did back in the day.
She's instantly more interesting as a character just from her time on WandaVision.
I would say
I still have to see WandaVision.
After seeing Brie actually add actual life into the character at the end of Shang-Chi, I'm willing to at least give her another chance just to see and hope she's going to do something different. You know what I mean? Those few seconds redeemed Brie. At least making me want to be like, okay, if she's going to be more like this, let me get another go.
Didn't they have her pull that ghosting routine in something else as well? That's become a run-on joke with her. I don't remember what it was in, though, because it's always, gotta go, I'm needed, right?
True, but I know she did that. Oh, no, she did that at the start of Endgame before she showed up.
That's right. But did anybody in that part in Turning Red, where in the bamboo, like hope that Morris from Shang-Chi just walked across the screen just as an Easter egg?
Oh, by the way, that dream she had before she turned into a panda, wasn't that trippy when you actually saw like the Fort Down or Devon, like fish and all that? You're just like
worms cut in half.
Okay, okay. Tristan just answered that. Technically, Carol was
Yeah.
she was Miss Marvel. And Monica was Captain Marvel. So Monica took over, but that was more or less because no one was using the name, and Roger Stern had something to do with it. It's like, I'm going to call her Captain Marvel, and I'm going and have her lead the Avengers.
So it's
Captain
Marvel.
Marvel. Captain Marvel is still Shazam to me. That will never
Yeah,
come out of my brain. I can't help it.
yeah, but yeah, then eventually they gave it to Carol, but Monica had already been Photon by that point.
Yeah.
Although they made a joke then how she was Captain Marvel, then Genis Val, the son of Marvel, became Captain Marvel, and then eventually he became Photon, and she was ticked off saying, "Stop stealing my name!"
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so
Almost like
I
what's going on.
do have one complaint that from the reviews that I've been seeing
What's
about
that?
the turning red, that people not only applied to Encanto, but they're also implementing it into turning red, and that is whether the grandma is the villain or the mother is the
They're
villain,
not
and it's
villains.
about going
No,
against them.
no one is a villain. Yeah?
Oh,
Go ahead, go, 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 go!
Liana.
That is Disney using its own shorthand in, I think, a really, really brilliant way to tell truths about immigrant families.
Yeah.
Right? There's a difference between an antagonist and a villain. And when you look at those old evil queens, like in Snow White and Maleficent and all that stuff,
Or even Tangled. Tangled was that. Sorry.
Were they evil, or were they what those worlds forced them to become?
Snow White, definitely evil. And Maleficent, definitely evil.
But
Unless you go by.
Maleficent's been reclaimed by the live action movies.
But that's
True,
because it's a live
but they had
action
to
movie.
villainize the king of Prince Philip.
But because the whole point of the wicked stepmother in fairy tales, getting very wonky for a moment, is that those women were antagonists to the young main character because they had to be by society, because if the firstborn of the man was his favorite, then her daughters would be kind of sidelined and get lesser pickings, so there was this competitiveness. So I think that the grandmother is a trope, abuela is a trope, and they're definitely borrowing from the art style of Maleficent and
especially with the pointy chin and all that kind of
they are definitely invoking that, but I think they're doing it in a really interesting way that says something about how media depicts these older women.
Oh yeah, and again, Ming is not a villain. She loves her daughter, but a lot of
we're talking about the grandma.
Oh, the grandma,
right, Bianca?
No, we're talking about the mother. There was reviews said that the mother is the main villain.
She's not
turns into a panda and fights her daughter in the end. And I'm like, I feel like what you're saying is completely sus. And then she said that she didn't want Disney teaching her kids about puberty.
Oh yeah. I know that's one of the ones I was bringing up as an example. I was bringing up as an example earlier.
No. This was just the review. I'm just talking about it.
Right.
Kaiju cinema doesn't have that traditional hero villain structure anyway, right? I mean, is Godzilla the villain? Is King Kong the villain?
And even here, though, it's quite clear she can't control it. So yeah, she's acting worse than she normally is. But
that's why I got so angry.
Yeah.
I'm like, your thing broke. She can't control it. Why are you getting angry at her? And she's not the villain.
These are stories of intergenerational trauma. Trauma is the villain in these movies.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm like, I'm sorry. I understand your frustration with the movie, but you're just not getting it. And I don't think
especially the notion that, okay, let's look back. Here's what more than likely happened. The mother and the grandmother was being just like how Ming is to May. Very strict, very traditional, very much of a, like, I want my daughter to be perfect, but not realizing the damage she's doing. Then her mother, now I think it's safe to assume her mother's panda was that giant size the whole time. I think that's safe to assume. And basically, they had an argument. She turned, struck, and scarred her mother. And after that, she never forgave herself. That's when she became emotionally stunted, except for her husband, because that's what caused the fight in the first place, that her mother did not approve.
See, this comes down to my metaphor of the panda in the movie and how I interpreted it.
Mm-hmm.
The panda represents the culture clash, the intergenerational clash between mother and daughter in every generation of that family. And Ming's panda being this giant
Oh, she's been
kaiju
holding back
Bowser
so much.
furry, the gulf was so much bigger
Mm-hmm.
between the mom and the daughter
Even
because
though
of that.
the mother forgave her though, but unfortunately, because Ming never forgave herself, she kept assuming
But
that there was this.
Ming is still terrified of her mother
Oh
in
yeah,
a way that Mei Mei is not terrified of Ming. So it is that mother-daughter clash that I think the bigger the panda, the larger the gap.
yeah. Because when you look at, they're
Yeah.
all different sizes. With the grandmother probably being the second biggest next to Ming, of course. But even then, it's just compared to everyone, all the ants who we never really. That's the only other thing I didn't care for. We never got a full vibe about the ants at all.
Okay, that just uh,
I loved
that's
them. They were quirky, but
that's an immigrant family thing too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's
Again,
okay.
yeah.
There's face. There's different
Mm,
types of face culture in
mm-hmm.
different cultures. Um and if you're in the family, you're within the face. And so everybody has an opinion on your business.
Yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's behind closed doors where nobody hears. And then when they're out in public, it's just but nobody comes out and says it. Everybody's putting up the face. But then when it gets into those things, oh, everybody's got an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of a single immigrant culture that isn't that.
True.
Yeah.
I
That is
thought
very
everybody
true.
was like that, to be honest.
What's that, Bianca?
I thought everybody's families was like that, to be honest.
Well, I did too because of where I grew up. And then I found out that no, like that stiff upper lip British culture, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
was like,
yeah.
your family's actually nice. No way.
Well, it's the who dis that we talked
Who
about
dis?
earlier.
Who
But
dis?
they're not nice. They don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a different sort of disapproval.
Yeah. But again, but like I said, like I said, you could tell that was the grandmother. Like she tries to warn Mei Mei. The panda drove us apart, and it's quite clear. She learned, and got a bot. Hold on.
XY, why? Okay. Okay, I thought
Uh,
that was the Toronto airport code for a while. I was like, what noise?
no.
That's YYZ, the Toronto airport code.
I also
Geez.
thought it was
Listen to me. Listen to me, code switching American. It's YYZ.
Right, but as I was saying, but you could tell that yeah, she had forgiven. It's quite clear the grandmother had forgiven Ming.
Oh, did you
Um,
think so?
I thought so
Oh,
because
I
that,
didn't.
Wait, what was that? Can you say it one more
I,
time?
I I felt that the grandmother had forgiven Ming, but that she realized that Ming never forgave herself, and that's what caused the wedge and why she still feared her mother because she feared how her mother felt about what she did.
I thought the grandmother was still being Chinese abuela. Like it's not a question of forgiveness because that's a foreign concept in women of that generation. It's there, that interpersonal expectation was not there. And
Hmm.
again, that's why, that particular panda gap
Right,
was so,
that is
why the
very true.
emotions were so strong, why it was so damaging, right?
Right.
Because she would have come over from probably, I mean, based on the family temple, they would have been Shinto, which means they would have been like not the cities.
Hmm.
And it was your primary responsibility was to your family. It was one child policy. And that's why people pour everything into their kid, right? She got
Right.
one chance.
Right. Well, of course, obviously Ming's the youngest of the kids. Clearly, if you look at how all the other ants look.
I thought it was interesting that Mei Mei didn't have a sibling either, that they only had the
True.
one kid, which is an indication of, I guess, some old habits dying
Wait, I
hard.
just write something else. that they said their temple is the oldest standing in Toronto, which means her family had to have built at some point.
That was one of those things that it's like, those don't actually exist in that part of Toronto
Well,
anymore.
obviously, but going by
Yeah.
that that's where it goes back to my notion about the which generation of it. Now, unless there were other family members that came there ahead of Ming's mother, the grandmother, and then the grandmother came later, and then and all that.
It would have been, I mean, in the 80s, apparently they had those downtown. We've got Buddhist temples up where I used to live.
Right.
But that was a bit of that was Disney magic. That was the
True.
Disney magic part. Those areas that used to be those temples downtown are all like Harajuku style shopping malls now.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
it's funny because the street looks very much like the street still looks, but where that would have been, yeah, that's like a 5-layer mall.
Oh boy, I could just only imagine what happened in that world between then and what would be modern day.
Well, we got a bigger Chinatown north of the city.
True.
That's what happened. There's Chinatown north
Mhm.
where there are these giant malls where the signs are in Chinese characters that they're not even in English, right?
True.
It could be Taoist.
Oh, speaking of which,
Yeah.
sorry, I just realized the origin of the panda curse or gift. I love that. The idea that it was originally good for war and done during wartime, and it was looked as the mother put it. What was once looked at as a blessing became an inconvenience. And I love that smile. How she went from a sheepish smile to her biting her lip, like It's like
that's a little bit of history though as well, that of the westernization of the role of women everywhere, because if you look back at Asian history, Chinese noble women were expected to protect their lands. Men went out and fought elsewhere. Women had their own guards and were expected to protect their lands. And I mean, that's the big thing about, is Princess Zelda a damsel in distress? Well, not in the Asian tradition. She's a
Dr. Soup's back.
Dr. Soup's back. And I thought that was an interesting way of putting it in as well, because yeah, women would have needed that fierceness, but now everything is face, right?
Right, exactly. And that's what led to it. So clearly this tradition has gone by where they felt like we have to steal the panda. And let's also remember the stuff going on with Ming again. There's a reason why she wants Mei Mei to steal the panda. Because as far as she knows, the panda is nothing but trouble. And
Mei Mei was
this
so
movie the longest and most expensive period allegory.
No.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean most expensive?
Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is the longest menstruation metaphor, and no shit, he's on record saying that's what Swamp Thing is about.
So it's definitely not the longest either. Definitely not the longest either. It was not even that long.
No, I mean, BioShock Infinite had a period thing in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate the pads.
She
was saying all the pads, scented, unscented, one with wings.
Yeah. BioShock Infinite is probably the most expensive period allegory in media.
Yeah. Oh wait, we also didn't talk about the fact that yeah, I know. When it comes to her friends and everything hustling the panda.
I'm so glad not just me about Bloodborne in that. Thank you, Shelby. I thought that was just me who thought that about Bloodborne.
I've never played any of these games, so I don't know.
But
you have to get fairly into Bloodborne to get that part too.
You literally recover health from virgin's period blood.
Yeah.
And nobody had a problem with this game? But
well,
and with this movie?
There are scenes where there's women and they've got like blood on their crotch and stuff like that. And they don't, it's a From Software game, so they don't say this is what this means and this is what that means. You got to sort of handle it.
I would have understood that just by looking at it more than I did this movie being a metaphor.
But like I said, then we have the friends. They decide, then we have it be that Mei Mei gets it under control thanks to the love of her friends. And I'm surprised they didn't. Now, that's the only other thing she never revealed to her mother. it wasn't my love for you that made me control a panda. It was my love of my friends. That never came up at
I
all.
I kind of like
Oh.
that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That whole time her mother still probably even to this day still thinks it's her love for me.
I have a
No,
different interpretation of it.
you do?
Mom didn't mean that.
Oh.
Mom was putting on face to
Oh,
her
that's true.
family.
That's true. Oh,
Yeah.
but the kitten box. The kitten box.
So
Oh my
cute.
god, was that
Yeah, that
ridiculous
whole thing. Well, that
drawing?
whole thing. Well, actually, even before that, you're getting second place in the school, in your whatever grades,
Spelling bee.
spelling bee, and it's just like that was a shame. And her parents were like, hmm? And I was just like, what did you think was in the box? Did you think kittens or did you think something else before they opened it?
It was all going so I was too busy laughing at the second place spelling bee line, so I didn't
I
have a chance to think about what was in the box.
I was
What's
thinking
the
of
box?
something academic related that she failed miserably.
Yeah, but yeah, the kitten rise. Oh my god, that is the perfect. And then she later reveals like she even beat the kitten in the box. They're like, because yeah, that would have been like an instant fail. Yes, we're sorry. Yes, Black Phoenix, we are spoiling the entire movie.
We did okay.
Unfortunately, Robert did say that beforehand when we
He did.
Yeah,
started.
Repeat
yeah,
came in later.
yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, that kitten in the box. I'm just like, yeah, that is the ultimate test. When you think about it, if the whole thing isn't just anger, it's just high emotion in general. Yeah,
No, that wouldn't be the ultimate test for me.
what would it be? What would it be?
This is a Rorschach blot. This is I am incapable of not getting furious when someone says Sylvie from Loki is a good character.
Okay,
I just get irrationally angry.
that's more recent. That's more recent. When you were a kid.
But there were things. Oh, The Handmaid's Tale. When I was a teenager, I
Mhm.
actually my teacher recommended it for a school project, and I threw the book across the room 3 times. Went back and begged him to assign me another book, please. He thought I'd love it because it was about women, and so he suggested Franz Kafka's The Trial instead, and I absolutely loved it.
Right.
But
All right.
The Handmaid's Tale when I was a teenager.
Well, again,
A lot
well,
of stuff
okay.
would have gotten me angry. A lot
Irrationally
of mine
angry.
was like, what is it called? Faux happiness.
Step for smiling, I call it.
That nothing bothers me because I'm supposed to be strong thing?
More like supposed to be happy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. That's different.
Right. But yeah, she gets under control. She's able to go to school, but her parents won't let her do the band. And again, just that whole stuff with the mom being like they're a bunch of degenerates and all that stuff. I'm like, again, that makes sense back with the 2000s when you had some parents who saw going to a 13-year-old going to a concert like that. Even back then, I mean, nowadays you'd be like, some party parents would be more cool with it, but back then in those 2000s, probably be like, no.
Certain parents back then also objected to the somewhat feminized boy band appearance.
True.
Well, that came up a lot.
Well, these guys look more normal, boy band.
Well, they were based on they were based on O-Town. O-Town was
Right.
like the only band of that time that actually had a black guy in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the Asian guy?
I think he was a BTS reference.
You know
Right.
how irritated I was when I thought that one of the Aarons was like Hispanic. I was like, is this gonna be a mostly minority group? And then he's just a really tan white guy, and I'm like, dang it, I'm so close.
Well, O-Town had a bunch of mixed race guys. One guy had like a Polynesian name. He actually left the band and went in another band called Element. I know, guys, okay, I know this because I worked at a music channel at the time, not because I was this massive O-Town fan.
Okay.
I have to be. I feel like
You're not a townie? How dare you?
Oh, I love that nickname, the townie.
I feel like I contributed in a small way with the inspiration of that movie by playing all those shitty boy band videos at that time on the music station in Toronto that I worked at. It was funny because we had to cover all those boy bands and the
I'm
girls
sorry.
were psych. Like
Mhm.
I used to say this with when this is kind of funny now because
Mhm.
when Gamergate broke out, yes, I said it. I was like, guys, why are you acting like these gamer dudes are the most terrifying thing on the planet? I worked in music programming during the Backstreet Boys in sync boy band phenom of
Oh,
the late 90s early 2000s. These girls would send in these like bubble letters, things to request boy bands, and then write death threats on the back of them if you didn't play the video or you insulted their favorite
Wait.
boy band. So,
mm,
and it was in this tiny little letter because they knew the VJ was going to hold it up on air. So most people didn't see it until it was right where their face was, and insult Nick and I will kill you, like things like that.
oh boy.
Girl boy band fans are freaking psychotic. Like,
Yes, I recall that.
do
That
you
I do recall.
do you
Is that your
remember?
god?
I mean, they stopped announcing that they had girlfriends. They kept the girlfriends secret
Oh,
because I
sorry.
remember.
Just saw another bot.
I
Oh, that
already
was
did
your
it.
bot? Okay.
You got it good.
They Debbie
Hey.
Gibson was linked to one of the New Kids in the Block, and Tiffany was linked to one of the New Kids in the Block. And these girls at the time, they were out for blood. They wanted those girls dead. Like white girls all over the world tried to tear out poor Tiffany's weave, and it was her real hair. You know,
Mm.
it
Again,
was
I do recall just hearing about how psychotic these were. But again, as I was saying, but we just, I would say this: if there was anything that slowed down the movie by comparison, and I didn't hate it, it just slowed down, was the hustling of the panda stuff. I liked it. I thought it was good, but that was like the only dragging moment was that stuff of them getting the money.
I thought that was furry fan service,
I
personally.
agree, but I did love the bit where they do all the different photos and her standing with the gasket. She's like,
I
Oh, there's
that
one comment that comics and cartoon said, which what I thought before the movie came out was
mm-hmm,
like gonna be somewhat about, and it's like usually in the Asian community you have to like control. They usually have this stoic controlling
mhm,
your emotions thing, and I was like, is that gonna play a part in the movie? And I'm like, it was a tiny bit, I think,
mhm.
but I did enjoy it. I was glad that they
mm-hmm.
put that in there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I get it, but that was clearly the only slow down padding moment. But you
And
needed it. You needed it.
well, that again, if you're not a furry, that's padding. If you are a furry, that's fan service.
That's true. But then you had the stuff with Tyler, the kid that they had issues with throughout all this, and it's like you've said, there's something up with him. But I didn't like how throughout all of
Tyler
it.
is gay. Let's just
Yeah,
say it. Tyler is gay.
but I know, but I did love how
I love you, man.
I know when he basically tells him about I wanted you to come to my party. I like how he's not being that sneaky, except when he was showing up. Like, does your mom know you're hustling it? And I gotta say, I like their word use of the words hustling, gyrating, stuff like that. It wasn't stuff like twerking or anything. It wasn't. They didn't use those words. They used the more.
Gyrating.
Yeah, they said they used that instead. And I'm like, yeah, you really see what I did? I don't think gyrating still has a negative connotation compared to twerking.
Okay, but May May was twerking
Oh
at
yeah,
one point at the end of the movie. Like she
yeah,
was
but that was
kind of
clearly,
twerking.
but that was
But
done to disgust her mom.
yes, but I thought it was funny that there was so many like furry con right down to the poses in
Yeah,
those sequences. Like that's like get May May a fur affinity like account now because this is deep lore happening right here. And yeah, I thought I was like, I get like that was a moment where I was intellectually understanding what was going on. Um, but yeah, it was almost like they didn't have quite enough movie and let the runtime go a little bit long
hmm
on that. There was a lot of glomping and scritching, and
yeah.
again, if
I
you're
have no idea
into
what those words
that,
mean.
because you're not a
Glomping. You don't know what
furry,
glomping is?
I've never heard of that in my life.
Glomping is when
uh,
Or
you
the
grab
other
onto
one.
them.
Abby
It's when you what?
Abby glomps May. You know how she like hugs her with both her
Like,
arms
that's so
and her
cute.
legs?
Oh, okay, glumps. Okay,
That's
I
it.
did
Yeah.
hear that
That's an
before.
anime phrase. That's an anime phrase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I
That's a
hate that
glomp.
word. I don't know why.
Yeah. But then there was scritching, and that before this, Zootopia was the modern furry movie,
Down with this.
but Turning Red is like furry culture movie. The ultimate Disney furry movie is still the Robin Hood animation from back in the
Oh
70s.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. After they hustle and then they go to the party, but that's when the aunt shows up. The aunts and the grandma show up. But I gotta say, just that. Oh, I forgot we didn't even mention all the food porn in this movie with Dad's
Jin is
cooking.
an amazing cook.
Food porn.
Yeah, good God, my mouth was watering every time I saw it. I was like, I want
I
to eat
couldn't
that.
even have the food, and I'm like, I want it.
I know. I'm just like, I want some of those dumplings or whatever. I want some of that. You just feel, especially that whole bit where like they're folding it. It's like perfect, she just feels like she's so proud.
Well, dumplings are hard to make. The
Oh
first
yeah.
time
Super
Oh,
you
hard.
manage to
they
get
showed them
dumplings
bow. They
together,
showed them bow how hard it could be.
you got to get those things to stick. Like if you use too much liquid, it melts. If you use not enough, it doesn't stick. Making dumplings is hard.
You put too much in it, you can't twist the top and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, that food was just so delicious. But yeah, and in fact that was the whole thing about everyone loves Jin's cooking. Everyone loves Jin's cooking, and I love that.
Well,
And
that was another thing. The fact that the dad was doing the cooking
Mhm.
was,
well, the mom was too busy with everything else.
but again, that shows some space between traditional. Like Mei didn't get it as hard as Ming did because her parents are fairly progressive by
Mhm.
Asian immigrant standards. Like there were
Yeah,
all those little
to a
signs.
point. To a point. Obviously, she had issue with Miriam. Never had an issue with. She never said anything about the other two. It was always Miriam.
We all
And
know why.
yep.
She's
And
the
of course,
weird one.
yep. And of course, with the band, how she think they're a bunch of degenerates. And I just love that she just moves the pants away from her, like, "Ugh." Like get that away from me. And but yeah, and then everyone's there. And then what do you think about the kind of convolutedness that Abby misread Toronto as Toledo, Toledo as Toronto? What did you think of that? Wasn't that a little bit like a bit? I think that was a bit, you know, you needed it for the plot, but it was convenient. It was convenient or
What
contrived.
part?
It was contrived.
What part was this?
No, the part where remember they thought it was going to be the 18th is when the concert was going to be a week before the ritual.
See, I took it as Abby being ADHD.
True, that could be it, but she misread it entirely. She just assumed it was, and then of course they look at it like that's Toledo. What?
Yeah,
And then she cursed, and then she cursed in Korean.
Abby.
Why she didn't curse in Korean? This is a kids movie.
Well, you know what I mean. She said something. She said something Korean.
But Abby has all the signs of like neuroatypicality, and I thought that was
Sure.
cool too. Which is why she's so
Hyper.
Genki.
Yeah, Genki is the exact word because she's ADHD. And I thought at first I was like, "Whoa, melt my face off," and then I'm like, "Wait, they're showing like all these little."
I didn't look at it that way, but now you say it, especially when she felt like she needed that comfort zone of hugging onto the Mei as the panda.
It's the stimming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
And
that's
her random
like
yelling.
Abby hit me.
Yeah, but pet the kitty. That was my read on Abby. Is she's
I didn't look at it. Now you put it that way, it makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
I was wondering this entire time. I'm like, there's something up with Abby, and I'm like, I don't know what it is, and I need to know.
Burn the place down.
But that was all the subtle little touches in the. Have you never had like an ADHD kid? ADHD.
I was considered ADHD. Now, of course, I'm autistic, but I was thought to be ADHD. So I've been around other ADHDs.
I had that one kid who was ADHD, but you didn't know because he was always calm, and then there was just one day he didn't take his medication, and somebody gave him candy.
Oh no! Oh
He
no!
was off the rails that entire
And
that entire class day.
and did
And
he
then,
burn the
he
like
was
burn the
crying
place?
because, he's like, It's not me, I just didn't take my medication, and I didn't mean to."
Yeah, like
Mhm.
that was a kid, that was a couple kids I knew in grade 3 gifted.
Yeah.
That I loved those kids. I thought they were hysterical because they didn't give off any menace, but they were nuts. We didn't know what ADHD was
No one
back
did.
then,
And
right?
yeah.
So that is what I saw in Abby, and that
Black Phoenix, that's the point. We're trying to get you excited for the movie.
yeah, but we're contextualizing all these characters so you'll see it and kind of enjoy it because it's so caffeinated and goofy. I don't know that you can necessarily spoil it because it's
Hmm.
the journey and the animation style and everything like
Oh,
that.
yeah. And the animation was so good, especially with the pandas.
And
Yes. Oh, I
the
love their different hairstyles.
Oh, we'll
yes,
get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to the
the
head.
the funny thing about the movie is it's being accused of being the director's personal therapy
Oh, I
and being
hate
woke.
them using that. I hate them using that phrase lately. Okay,
She
there are
literally
some.
said
Now,
it's her autobiography, stuff that she went through. Like,
yeah,
how is that
like her
self-therapy?
mother
She just
being
wants
a.
to share her story.
Exactly. Does the phrase "write what you know" no longer apply? Now, are there some comics that feel like they're being their own therapy session? Tom King, anyone? Yes. But
Ernest fucking Hemingway
yes.
wrote personal therapy, okay?
All
Like
right. Shelby, you don't have to be a girl or a furry to enjoy this. I'm obviously not a girl, and I'm not a furry, and I loved it.
I mean, funny enough, Pitch Perfect 2, like, people consider it as a girl film, right? So I said, Dad, I want to see Pitch Perfect 2. And he's like, no, that's a girl film. And I'm like, just watch it. You're watching it with me. You're spending the day with me. We're going to watch it. And he's like,
I didn't
okay.
mind. I
And
didn't mind
so.
Pitch Perfect, any of the movies.
And so after we
see,
finished it, he was like, that was a funny movie. And I'm like,
I'm
exactly.
I'm breaking out in a rash just hearing the term Pitch Perfect, those dance movies, High School Musical, all those teen movies.
High
No,
School Musical 2
not
is the best. No
not
way.
Well, my
Liana
mom, my
movies.
mom loves the Pitch Perfect trilogy. She loves
I
it.
didn't see the third one. After I heard that the girl and the guy are not together in the third movie, I'm like, why? Why would you do that to me? I'm
You
not
look like
watching
you were
it.
ready. You look like you were getting sick there, Liana. You look.
Ah.
Okay, let's stop talking about it. Let's
No,
stop
no,
talking
no,
about
it's
it.
fine. But this is the thing that I normally cannot stand these Teen Girl Squad movies. But Turning Red was excellent. I
Oh
loved
yeah.
it.
Again, everything that happened. Then of course you have the mother finds that realizes that when the moment she found out about everything, I'm surprised they didn't focus on her grade slipping. We just see that little bit. That's all we needed. But yeah, you're like, crap.
The B plus. That is true
And,
though. That
well,
is so
and
true.
C minus saying, have you even studied?
That was true though. Hiding the bad papers.
Yep, hiding all of those. Because, yeah, remember how in the beginning she's like, whoosh, look what I've got. Now it's like, hide, hide, hide.
Did you guys have in school where you actually had to get your parents to initial that they saw
No,
the test?
Yes.
Yeah.
I never had that.
All the time. But after my mom has 3 kids, so I have 2 siblings, and so
Oh,
all that
sometimes. Okay, I
signing
take it
was
back.
tired. So she just said, "Sign it for me. I don't
Well, so
care."
actually, I take it back. Sometimes they did, but it depended on the class, depended on the teacher. It wasn't everyone.
Yeah, we in first grade, there's no way you could do this. This is going to be a hardcore story, okay?
All right.
Picture it, Toronto, 1982.
Oh, I
Oh
love
boy.
that.
Oh boy.
The first grade teacher used to, was it even 82? It might have been 81. Anyway, no, it was a little later than that. But anyway, back to the story.
Back to that story.
The first grade teacher used to write on a strip of masking tape things you did that were bad or things your parents needed to know and tape it to your chest. So
What?
you went home. Yeah, that scarlet lettering, children in class. That was first grade
What?
in Jane Finch in Toronto. Like I said, hardcore. You could never
You could
do it
never do
today.
that. Yeah, you could never
They
do that.
they
Oh my
perp walked
gosh.
kids with masking tape in my elementary school. It was so hardcore.
Yeah, that is. But anyway, but yeah, they eventually, again, she gets caught. And did you expect the mother to chew and assume the worst from her friends doing it all? Did you see that coming? Or were
What
you
do you mean?
expecting her after the party got shut down? and she walks up to their friends like, "How could you?" Like, just again, the fact that she
Oh.
still thinks Mei Mei is this perfect girl, she would never have done it. It had to be her bad influence friends.
Oh, no, 100%. That's real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just this whole notion, the fact that Mei Mei didn't say anything because, as she said, she didn't want to lose her mother's respect. Even though earlier, and the fact, but that said a lot because earlier, the fact that her mother wouldn't let her go, she was like, "Forget my mom." But yet here, when it came right down to it, she couldn't.
Okay,
She,
but Mei Mei's friends are also, remember, Asian family.
mm-hmm.
Mei Mei's friends are South Asian, Korean, and a lesbian. Black mark, and black mark for a Chinese family.
So
Yep.
I do
Mom-
want to talk about one thing. So apparently, a lot of people are saying, "How can you say there's LGBT when obviously they're just friends?" I just heard that Pixar, for this movie, they actually did add a lot of LGBT elements and
Yes.
characters and
Yeah,
arcs,
and
but Disney
I
was told no, and so they cut them out.
now
No,
it's clearly there for again, what was her name?
Miriam.
No,
Miriam.
but the other one,
Tyler.
Myra. Freaking her name.
yeah, her with the goth girl at the party. How much more play did you get?
Previa.
There was a storyboard that came out about that. The goth girl was like blushing at her, but they didn't keep it in the movie. So that
Yeah.
was obviously a thing they wanted to do.
And again, that explains why she and Miriam. Well, again, Abby completely straight, Miriam completely les. Mei Mei, I think Mei Mei is still straight or could be bi. Who knows?
No, Mei Mei likes boys. We
Yeah,
got
she
it inside our
definitely.
head. Mermaid boys, which is an interesting kink, but all right.
Like the scales. Maybe she likes reptile boys too.
It's panda on.
But do you see no Miriam? But it seems like Miriam's like it's one of those like I love you, but I know it's not going to be so.
I mean, when Tila put her arm around Andra like that in He-Man, like half the internet shit a brick. Okay,
My
Like,
gosh.
that
I remember.
that was-
I remember that.
I think it's interesting that they subtexted it that way because anybody with a shred of gaydar picks up on, like, I wouldn't thought
The shaven head.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have thought anything about Tyler being at the O-Town concert except for the fact that he had a favorite member of the band.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, Tyler likes boys. Like,
Mhm.
and then
look how he was at the end. How he's now part of the group at the end.
But then everything he did that was shitty before that, like you backfill all of it and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But that is another thing. I mean,
And again, it explains also why he was just so chilled when he was asking her to the party. He wasn't being all like trying to get the girl to come to the party or anything like that. No, he just felt like I want because it's cool.
but he like had to blackmail her.
Oh, he did. Well, he ever got a chance to go in and say anything because there's a no creep, jerk, Tyler around.
No Tylers.
The no Tylers was pretty funny.
Yep, but I know. But again, they start. So yeah, it's the day now. The fact they had to do a big time skip between, like the whole week just went by. They just went from the end of the party to it's time for the ritual.
And dang, he's probably rich. He was like $200.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, yeah, done. And I'm like,
And then he had enough to go to the concert on his own and that mansion.
No, okay, that is another Asian thing in Toronto. Those mansions are a completely different part of Toronto.
What's his ethnicity, by the way?
Tyler seemed to be mixed race. His sounded he almost sounded island.
Yeah.
Where's that? What's that one?
He sounded Caribbean. He sounded Jamaican or Trini.
Oh, I was hearing an accent and I was like, oh my gosh, what accent is that? And then his mom left and I just looked away for a second. I'm like, dang, I didn't see what she looked like.
His parents were mixed race. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
But those giant, we called them McMansions.
Yeah. Oh, I'm aware of those because I've watched a video about there was this one area in Iowa or something that they were trying to work on a whole type of area, but then it fell apart. But you have these McMansions, that's what they call them, and they're basically these type of mansions that are kind of like a standard and all that, like a.
They actually passed a bylaw in the suburb I used to live in because Asian money was flooding Markham.
Mm-hmm.
and building these monstrous homes. And that was an because it's like that's in a completely different part of the city. So they basically put all the different Asian neighborhoods in Toronto and put them in basically the same place for the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of this movie. But yeah, Tyler's family had some dough.
Oh yeah, that was so
Yeah,
odd. Again, the
I
fact that
want
he said
that though.
200. Okay, just that casual. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, but then comes, like I said, the fact that we just skip right to the ritual. It's like, really, just felt a little weird, didn't it? Just how it just skipped right there. Like, so a whole week had passed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That just felt a
No,
little
I was so
weird.
confused. I thought a month passed.
No, no, no. Remember, they were working for weeks, and they thought it was going to be like the very next day after the party was going to be the concert. And they found, oh no, they're in Toledo right now. They're going to be in it next week, the week of the ritual.
I thought the YIF montage was multiple days.
It was. It was.
So
Oh wait, I'm
doesn't
so
that explain
confused.
the time gap?
No, because there's a point where we follow the calendar when the mom
Right.
finds it underneath the bed.
I
Right.
didn't see that.
Yeah. So basically, they were coming up on the week of what the concert. So obviously, we skipped from either a week to a week and a half by the concert. And
I thought the different like fundraising things,
Yeah.
exploit the furry moments, those were different days. Like that.
They were different days. But I'm saying no, after the party ended. Because remember, we saw it another week. They thought it was going to be, like the 18th. So they thought we have enough money for the concert. And then it turns out, no, it's next week, the week of the ritual.
But didn't then her mom got caught and she got grounded, and that's why.
Yeah. So I said, so we skipped a week. So I'm saying, so we skipped the week for the ritual.
Okay, you're right.
I wish
Oh,
they
yeah.
had like a timestamp on the left-hand corner.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe that week was too gay coded for Disney, so they had to skip it all.
Well, obviously the fact that she left her little Tamagotchi behind and Miriam took care of it for a whole week. 'Cause let's be honest, if it was a whole week, that thing would be dead. It would be dead if Miriam didn't take care of
I
it.
hated those
Okay.
Tamagotchis. They got me in trouble in school.
But someone who is just a friend does not do that.
No, they don't. Especially like, shut up.
There were so many things with Miriam that I was like, there is no way. And could you
That's what I
imagine?
felt.
But could you imagine being Disney this week, where half the internet was saying you hate gay people, and they're sitting on this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it
Do you
must
think
have
people
been
are gonna get
heartbreaking.
angry about this? Like, she's wearing plaid. She's a redhead.
She might be Jewish.
Maybe.
I feel called out right now.
Sorry, but let's be honest, that's how Miriam came off as. I think there was so much of everything that screams gay, Jewish, all that,
I'm not good with that stuff, so I always need somebody to tell me.
Miriam is the name of Moses' sister.
Yep, also the curls.
The hair. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that, it was, but could you
Curls?
imagine? Well, it was
I only remember the braids that she had on.
Yeah.
She had the sort of hair that frizzes in it was very kind of Israeli hair. But she wasn't taking care of it. She was just running a brush through it because she had to and pulling it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
It's the reason why when people look at the mother in Tangled, they think she's ambiguously Jewish because of that hair.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, could you imagine being the people who worked on?
Oh, so it's a friend who used to hack Tamagotchis. Wow.
Well,
How do you hack Tamagotchis?
you could pull the back off them and muck with some stuff on the inside, and stop them from dying and stuff.
What?
Okay, I guess I was that friend that hacked Tamagotchis.
Right. But anyway, so yeah, so it's the day of the ritual and everything, and of course, May this whole week has been feeling lousy. She's felt like, this whole thing's nothing but a curse. Until her dad brings the video they recorded, and basically it reminds her of the good times. I mean, it makes sense though, and he reveals, your mother and your grandmother had a big fight. Like, over what?
It doesn't really matter.
I know, but then of course he just said like your mother, it was destructive and big, but it's like, but your mother was incredible. It's just like, what does that say, right? That
Dad is best dad. I love
Yeah,
May's dad.
yeah. But yeah, so she decides, I want to keep it. I want, and of course, also earlier, her grandmother did tell her, if you do it too many times, it'll be permanent. So again, that was much more explaining the consequences than Ming ever did. All Ming had to do was say, yeah, my panda was destructive. All right. And Mei would have understood, but no, she gets kept there to be quiet and kept on just saying, no, we got to do this. We got to do this.
Face.
Yep.
You don't.
Is
And,
that
You don't
Studio
admit a
Ghibli or is
weakness.
it pronounced Studio Gilby?
Ghibli.
Or Ghibli? How can you say that? Who said this is Studio Ghibli style? Get the heck out of here! I'm sorry, but all you like anime fans are starting to get super annoying right now. Not you, Crimson Prince. Not you specifically. I'm talking about the people you said who said that. Like for some reason they want to compare anime to everything now, and I'm like, please stop,
I'm getting
please.
so tired of that. I'm getting so tired of comparing everything to anime.
Okay, what the style in Turning Red was inspired by is the kawaii shops that
Yeah,
were popping up at the time, and that was more Hello Kitty
yeah,
than
which
Ghibli.
was a
Yeah,
sign of rebellion. Sorry, sorry. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak today. Rebelling. It was a sign of rebelling. Cute stuff was rebelling at that time.
yeah.
You can't get any much cuter than a red panda.
Well, there was. I mean, Kawaii Panda is like the kawaii of kawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Kawaii, kawaii,
But
kawaii, kawaii.
yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it much more Sanrio inspired
Yeah.
well, I mean, okay, maybe you want to say Totoro
Oh, I got that vibe a little bit.
or
I still have to see that
Ponyo,
movie.
but again, common root, not direct inspiration sort of thing.
Yep. Now, I gotta say, what did you think about the fact that they had Mr. Gao, who was a resident of their little community and all that stuff? Oh, great! Got another. We have another one.
It's the same guy.
Same one.
Cute.
Oh, that's on your end, Bianca.
I know. I did a stupid thing.
But anyway, as I was saying, the fact that they had him be the one to do the ritual, when it's like, did they even hint that he can do this stuff?
That was another thing I saw as officially China is an incredibly patriarchal culture.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's an emperor. The men are in charge. Men are seen as better than women. It's better to have a boy than a girl. But socially, the guy shows up, just does his thing. He knows they're not listening to him. They pick the music. They pick how it's done. He just wants to not get yelled at so he can go home and have a nap.
But James Hong was perfect for it.
Yeah, he was good.
And it was and the fact that he revealed it doesn't have to be the specific song; it'd be any music song that's from the heart.
And
That
you knew where the movie was going at that time.
Yep. But again, the fact I just loved it, so much with his character helping out and all that, and which all explains why the mother felt like I got it covered. She was going to have him help out. I think that was so obvious.
Okay, I gotta say something about CalArt style.
Oh, the bean mouth stuff.
I gotta say something about CalArts. You cannot take something Asian inspired and say it's CalArts because CalArts stole from kawaii style to create the CalArts style.
Preach it.
So if you are saying it looks CalArts because it looks kawaii, you are allowing CalArts to appropriate the original aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've seen those whole bean mouth stuff goes way back. It's not a recent thing.
Even Cuphead has bean mouth, but nobody's calling it CalArt style.
Because Cuphead is
Rubber hose.
hat and stuff like that. Cuphead goes way. See, Cuphead is the animation style that
Crimson is because people, when they see the bean mouth, they associate that with CalArts.
Bean mouth is CalArts.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, not the old days.
It's called kawaii or chibi, not
right.
Bean mouth. If you say bean mouth, it's a direct reference to CalArts.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, the well, chibi, yes, but Turning Red isn't exclusively chibi. The Abby is sort of chibi, but the other characters aren't. They're Meme is kawaii, but not chibi.
Yeah, and the others are
Definitely
more
the adult.
traditional. The others are more traditional Pixar, just a little toony.
Yeah, but it's definitely got a kawaii. But what's interesting is that the
They
Disney,
associate with the Bean Mouse with Steven Universe.
the
Ugh.
the
And
early
Gumball.
Disney stuff and Felix the Cat and Betty Boop and stuff like that that inspired Cuphead, then got picked up by animators in Asia in the 60s and 70s, which is what chibi kawaii came from. And then CalArts took the iteration that Asian artists did and made it into characters that look like they're having a stroke so bad they're shitting their pants all the
Oh, by the
time.
way, according to Pixar, they were going to make Tyler overtly gay.
He is overtly gay.
Oh, even more so. They were going to make it even more so.
I didn't even notice until the four towny part. I'm like, oh, he must be a fan, and then I went, oh no,
The funny thing
this is
is,
different.
I'm gonna confess something. Tyler looks a lot like a boyfriend I had in high school who ended up going gay for pay, and it was kind of uncanny. I'm like, no, it was a look. This is another thing I didn't know about. I didn't know about the mix CDs. I didn't know about my gaydar wasn't super tuned now. I guess the wisdom of that is now why I have such highly tuned gaydar.
Right. But
Interesting,
I
Shelby.
know. Yep. Oh, yeah, about, the Astro Boy was inspired by Mickey Mouse. Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm here for all these fun facts, man.
But yeah,
Oh.
but yeah, so they do the ritual. Mei Mei refuses. She eventually refuses it. Everyone's like, what? No, that's where I think the whole notion of they're so stuck in tradition that they can't even fathom the idea of someone wanting to stick as the panda. So, of course, during it all, Ming's amulet that has her panda and it gets broken. Unfortunately, then her mother and everyone else is just like, how could you let this happen? And eventually, mixed in with her outrage of what Mei Mei did, she
It's
unleashed.
her emotions.
Yep, the panda just lets out. Like I said, that moment when she goes, May May, you're just like, oh shit. That felt like that's when we get a bit anime from that boy. It's when, right there.
Well, that's
So
because
Godzilla.
Cyan, went full kaiju, right? But that again is that metaphor of the generation gap, right? The generation gap and trauma, because it's the Encanto thing again, right? The current generation, all the shit from the previous generation heaps on them, and then when they want to keep basically their independent identity, it all like dominoes all the way up the chain.
Yep.
And
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys realize that the mom Ming, being the bigger panda, she talks a lot slower?
Yeah, well, yeah, because she's so big.
I love that.
I loved when going up on Skydome and it was totally classic Godzilla and Kong.
Yeah, oh yeah, boom, boom. Yeah, but I'll be honest, I did not expect her to be that big. I expected her to be like twice or 10 times Mei Mei size. I did not expect freaking kaiju size. But I love it though. Earlier, right before we saw that shot of her stomping towards the Sky Dome, when Mei Mei goes, "What's she gonna do? Ground me?" Boom, boom, boom. I was like,
"You're gonna get grounded, all right."
Mei Mei, where are you? And just like, Mom, she just bolts.
There's another moment of how can that dude at Cinema Blend say that the movie didn't have broad appeal? Everybody knows.
Everyone loves kaiju.
Yeah.
Oh, and again, just that moment of her just ripping it open and all that, and jumping on down.
Well, the funny thing about that too is at that point in the building's history, the roof used to get stuck all the time.
Oh, so that explains why she forced it, because it was like
a bunch of people probably would just wanted to do that at that time because it was this big, expensive, retractable roof and it kept getting stuck.
So yeah, so like, and then just jumping on in, and then again, just all like, I told you she was big, that big. Because I love when she said what happened. She thought the ritual going wrong caused it. No, that was how big she was, and of course, but then that whole. This isn't you. Her just then yelling like, Go home. Where are your parents? Put some clothes on. It's just like this is just like what she did at the little quick shop, but worse.
But that was also a funny thing about those concerts is parents would do that. But back in the day,
Oh,
like that
I
was
don't
the
know.
same.
Got another one.
That was the same era where Marilyn Manson concerts had a parent room. The parents would just go and wait because parents of that age hated the whole phenomenon of degenerate music that was corrupting
Exactly.
their children.
Are
Yeah.
they the only animal people? Yes, these are all regular humans. Only the the females of Mei Mei's family turn into the pandas because of what their ancestor had done. It would pass on, and when they became of age, they would turn into the panda.
It's some epic war stuff, man.
But yeah, but then I just love it though. Then when she finally confesses everything to her mother, like I lied, I did it, I chose the household. I like boys, I like music, I love the gyrate. I'm 13, deal with it. And I just love that how her mother's just stomping towards her, heads on her hips. And it's just like the giant size of that red panda, hands on her hips, just scolding her daughter is just like, it's beyond hilarious.
Rob, how many times did you watch this movie that you nailed that dialogue?
Too many. I rewatched it too many. Thanks,
Oh, yeah, I
Paul.
was gonna say, like, oh my god, dude got it memorized. I'm
The
impressed.
only
I've
thing I
watched one-
memorized it is because I just finished it while we're
Yeah,
while we were doing the
I
stream.
rewatched certain parts of. I'm one of those people who rewatch their favorite parts once it is on streaming, and that whole climax I loved. And I love it. You have Jin making the big circle and everything, so like get it all in. You have a brief anime like fight between mother and daughter.
The Square Enix moment.
Yeah, especially
yeah.
her just jumping like, "I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. Sorry, I can't match up. Sorry, I'm not you." And but then headbutts her. But then again, I love how she then realizes, "Oh no, she just knocked her out of the circle." You know what I mean? And again, I just love how every part had a purpose. There was nothing that was wasteful. No, this served a purpose because her to realize, and then her grandmother and her aunt break their talisman so they can have the strength to pull her into the circle. And then you have her friends get the Fort Town to join in, doing a big song moment so they can activate the circle so we can help the mother, who we then Mei sees her as a teenager, which makes sense if you take into account that she basically was emotionally stunted at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
She became emotionally stunted at the moment she heard her mother.
Yeah, well,
and the only exception was with her husband.
Also, she had
to.
That's
on your. I think that's on your end, Bianca.
Yeah, I got it.
She had to tamp down all her emotions so she couldn't mature. I thought that was a
and
I wanted Morris from Shang-Chi to like walk across the screen at that point because of the bamboo and everything like that.
But
in my mind, turning red and Shang-Chi are shared universe. So,
but you just have that moment, and then as they walk through, she's finally growing up and catching up with her body age.
Yeah,
that's how I looked at it. Was she was catching up to where she was physically.
That was a real truth, though, because it's funny because before I saw the movie, I was talking with a friend of mine about mom guilt.
Yeah,
and mom guilt's a real thing, and there's like
it's pretty much Brave with the mother having a bigger role.
There's this tortured teenager in the heart of every psychotic Karen tiger mom, and they like that was some truth. But again, like everything else in the movie, they didn't belabor it, and it just made it better that they didn't explain everything to people. And because they didn't do that, they got so much free PR of that Jerk It Cinema blend.
Yeah. Now, where do you stand by everyone comparing this to Brave? Because people are saying that, and like I said, it is to a degree but the mother has a bigger role. She's not turned into a beast throughout most of the movie. She actually is there the whole time. I can tell maybe more bigger part. And I gotta say, I prefer this over Brave from what little I've seen of Brave.
Brave was pretty, but Brave just felt like Pixar really wanted to animate hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they wanted to be more close to the Disney, I think, in that one.
There was a lot of the thing about Brave is there was a lot of behind the scenes fighting.
Oh, yeah.
That I think came out in a lack of clear creative vision, whereas Turning Red,
I definitely see that.
Yeah, such a clear creative vision in Turning Red. Like, it was one of those movies I marveled that it got made.
Oh, yeah. And I was wrong. The director of Turning Red was not involved with Brave.
No, that was Brenda Chapman. She's the first female director on a a Pixar animation since Brave. That's the
Yes.
connection.
Yes, she's the first solo.
Yes.
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 It's like
Yeah.
she was the first to do a short.
And the amount she got into that movie and the fact that there was more that they had to pull back, that's genius that she just went so balls to the
I still cannot
wall.
believe that Sam and Max creator Steve Burchell co-directed Brave.
Well, that's the thing. They were
I still cannot
bringing in
believe that.
they
I have
were
no idea what that
bringing in
is.
people at the last
Sam and Max is a comic strip and an adventure game and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
A little psychotic rabbit with his partner, who's a dog in a suit.
Yeah, it's like classic Bugs Bunny homage. Like
Yeah.
before they made the Bugs Bunny, the Looney Tunes look more Disneyfied.
Right. But yeah, so of course, yeah, they deal with the mother, they finally resolve it all, and she embraces being a panda, and we get that moment then where the mother, I love how the mother says, you put so much pressure on yourself, and but you want everyone to be happy, and if I taught you that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was a nice moment.
Because I do it myself. I put so much on myself, and I want everyone to be happy.
Yeah, I thought
That's
that was
the thing I related to the most. When she said that, I'm like, that's me.
well, that's the Encanto joke again, right? The most unrealistic part of Encanto is when Abuela apologizes.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but at the same time, it's that this is a Disney movie. This is about the world they want to exist, not the world that does. So I'll stand by that. It's a funny joke though for people who have ever had the abuela as opposed to the abuelita. It jokes, as long as people are joking about it with like, this was so heartwarming and this makes me feel good, and I have hope for humanity more now that movie actually managed to get made.
Wait, what do you mean by relationship drama? Wasn't that the whole thing with Brave? Like,
yeah, I think they mean more like love interest drama.
Yeah, that was also part of it. She was forced to.
Well, I never saw Brave.
Oh, okay, so there's this whole point where her mom wants her to marry, so she brings. So they bring a lot of suitors from everywhere, from Scotland and
a bit of a Jasmine thing there,
and that's when she's like. The big,
right,
like, and I'll be choosing me on hand.
What I want to see about the fact that in Ralph Breaks the Internet, they just overdo her accent even more so.
Yeah, for some reason in the trailer they really overdid it, but what she said in the trailer wasn't in the movie, and I'm like, then why'd you freaking out in the trailer? I've been trying to decipher.
I think they were making fun of what people kept saying about how heavy her accent was.
Funny enough, there's a guy with a heavy accent in the Brave movie, and there was a girl who is Scottish who actually is from that area, and she's like, well, I personally didn't like it because people will use that our accent as a joke because it can be like not understandable.
Oh, so she meant that he didn't have anyone, that she didn't have anyone she was pining over.
Yeah, she was interested in that one buff guy, but that buff guy went to that really old lady in the end.
No. Just point. There is no single Scottish accent. You can tell what region of Scotland someone is.
Right. Oh, I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that.
From that accent, and it's the Glaswegian accent that people use as a joke. But
thank you.
Yeah,
it's been like years since I saw that review.
But
one
of the funniest things I ever saw working at the music channel that is featured in Turning Red was the Lord of the Rings, the last one, Return of the King, the press junket, where they were all punchy and Billy Boyd was pissed drunk on the red car, and he's from Glasgow, right? So it was full on Glaswegian accent, and it was so funny watching the people trying to interview him. They had no idea what he was saying, and I was watching the live feeds from the control, and I could understand because family from that part of the world. But Scottish people I know, even people who are more, it's not actually a Scottish accent. It's a it's a Highlands accent.
Right.
It's not as thick. Apparently Americans can't understand them.
Right. But yeah. So now, is it just me, or did May was she the only one that looked good with the red hair? Everyone else, her mother did when she was young, but when she was an adult, all of them being older, the red hair did not look good on them.
See, there are Chinese superstitions about red hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this out the hard way because I lived in a Chinese neighborhood for a while as a young adult, and there are a lot of like you're an oni. That's what it's that's what it's connected to in Japanese.
Of course.
You're a dragon in human form. You're some sort of malevolent spirit, and people would like spit in my direction and walk away, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And Asian friends of mine were like, that's pretty hardcore. That's most people don't believe that anymore. But you know, the fact that they used that as and they went with the red panda, and then they went the red hair, and then the reality was a lot of Asian girls at the time were dyeing their hair that very shocking shade of red, right? It was an interesting. I don't think it was supposed to look natural or good. It was supposed to look new world.
Right.
If that made sense, you know?
No, I think it does. I think it does. But then she embraces it. And I love that ending then, where we're now seeing how, her mother's gotten used to it. Oh, the fact that they put her in the Tamagotchi. It's like, what? You gotta put it somewhere. And then Grandma has it because she's of that belief of 4 is unlucky. So she's like, I hate 4s.
You watched the post-credit sequence, right?
Oh,
yes.
Dad was a Townsy as well.
So cute. I love Dad.
Dad, have you seen my new CD?
That was so. Does Dad have a name? Jin. Okay. Oh, it's the same.
I almost thought he was Korean because his name was Jin.
Yeah, but yeah, Jin, best dad. Jin, dad of 2022. And I know it's only March, but he is my vote. So good.
Yep. Again, I just loved that moment. But again, that ending, how he's now helping out. But of course, the My Panda, My Choice. Oh God, that's set some people up as well.
Oh, that probably is what made woke. It's woke. One freaking line.
Just like in the Batman.
At the end of the movie.
It's like, it's a gag. She's want to walk out how she wants as her panda form. Duh.
So is like everybody in the world just gonna accept this?
Well, I just like the panda apocalypse or whatever. But we just called it growing pains.
Yeah.
I love that. Just like, we just called it growing pains. But again, the fact that her mother now has the Tamagotchi on her neck because, again, it was like, this thing's hungry all the time.
It was merchandise from Town too.
Oh, yeah, that was for the grandmother. Yeah.
That was really cute.
But for Mom, it was May's little Tamagotchi.
Yeah, that was cute. I still have one Tamagotchi, but the battery's dead, and I'm like,
and I just love just saying that whole bit of her just saying like, "Ta-da!" like, "Welcome to the shrine," and then, of course, I love it how $100 million to fix the Sky Dome, and I just all the mom's like, just the fact that it's like she got off lightly. Let's be honest, Mom did.
I mean, you could have killed the boy band too. They were up in the air when everything was
happening.
Oh
yeah. But she got killed people when she jumped in and caused the shockwave.
I admit I had a moment of what was that concert where the stage collapsed and like Drake got sued. I flashed back to that at that moment. I'm like, I'm okay. I guess enough time has passed, but I felt a little afeared at that moment.
Yeah, but again, just the fact that the mom got off lightly, you know what I mean? For all we know, though, she could be banned from that stadium as well, for all we know.
May got in illegally.
Oh, that's true.
No ticket.
Yeah.
That's true. She crashed.
But no one noticed, I think. I think that's why
Which is insane. Like, you don't see a gigantic panda, and then you, like... Well, actually, you know what? The smoke cleared it.
Yeah,
also,
the smoke cleared it.
Can feel the smoke, and I wasn't sure if they were, but everybody starts coughing, and I'm like, what does it taste like? It's pink. Is it
probably strawberries?
It probably has that dry ice taste.
That too, perhaps. Oh yeah, given everyone was coughing, and they have the teacher open up the window during the school transformation. This is post. This will be post 9/11. It was 2002.
Yeah.
So that's no. Would she be like? Would you label a giant kaiju-sized creature a terrorist? Really?
It's Godzilla.
Yeah,
Just
you're
gotta
not.
kill it down.
Yeah, but again, it's just like we at least on. Although here's the one thing though. Will her thing continue on, or does she have to if the batteries die, or does she have to keep the batteries going too? Because having it be electronic adds a whole new layer of it. Plus, a little plastic toy is not as strong as a medallion.
You're right. Is it the item that
I know the item
the
itself. I
little
just think it
item?
was. I think the item was affected by having because it was electronic by having the giant panda in there. But yeah, that thing is a lot less durable than a medallion.
No, but that's a good point because if she
I
has
just
like
noticed
when the
that. Oh my
batteries
god.
die, would she go panda?
Yeah, or now that could be a case, or could the panda just get angry because it's not being paid attention to?
When did they
Okay,
put in a Tamagotchi? Did I miss that?
You know, remember, the mom had it at the end, at the very end. They had
No,
to
I'm
put
saying like usually you would see them put it in an object.
no. We
And
just jumped it right after they
yeah.
put it in. We didn't even see them.
Okay.
So she's like, oh, this thing's hungry. What, Mister Gower, to
I
put it in
thought they did a
somewhere?
red panda version of the Tamagotchi.
No, that's
That's why
where
it's
because
so
she's keeping it on
confusing.
her neck like her medallion.
Oh
yeah,
my
they
gosh.
Oh,
used
the Sentai
items.
moment was the ants. The Sentai moment was the ants just running it forward, taking off their different
Oh yeah,
amulets.
yeah. That was
And one
Sentai
of them was Naruto
Charger.
running. One of them was Naruto running.
yes,
I
yeah.
was like, yeah, there he goes.
I love that moment. But
Again, that's a shonen trope. So what do you mean it's not a movie that has broad appeal?
exactly. But yeah, the end of it all, Tyler's now part of the group. And did he look more flamboyant from that point on?
Oh
At
yeah.
the end. At the end.
Well, because he's out now, right? They saw him.
Yeah, especially the whole bit after they do the little finger thing. He does his like,
Yeah.
this lip and all that. I'm like, he's acting, I know, but. And I love how when they say Mr. Jin's cooking, you just see him like ducking his head down like he's trying to stay in the camera. That felt like something you would do in a real movie where someone's trying to stay in the shot.
Yeah.
It made no sense in real life, but it felt like, oh, this is a guy trying to stay in the shot. But yeah, so they head on out, and again, the movie's good. And there's talk of a sequel, and how could they do a sequel besides the Tamagotchi thing?
Well, there could be a few things.
Other
One,
spirits.
jump forward to May being a parent,
Oh, that would be interesting.
and now it's K-pop.
Oh, that would be interesting, especially as they said so far in the past. Yeah. What does it say 2002 so far in the past now? What does that say? Oh, I'm old.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just long enough. Well, yeah, she'd be early 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would have that, or you could have there could be other spirits. There could be other people who are gifted with similar spirits.
That's true. It could be different. Well, you could do sort of a Pan-Asian thing of family from a different Asian country,
Japan with dragons?
or even
Look, just imagine Mei Mei meeting Jake Long.
or even like a nine-tailed fox. Well, that's Chinese too, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I found it so weird because I was always like, I've always known like in Japanese media, you always see like a nine-tailed fox, right? And then I see it in Chinese mythology, and I'm like, oh, you guys got it too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's certain of those are because I mean the modern borders of these countries aren't what they were like forever. So there's a lot of certain cultures fight over who actually invented a lot of this stuff, and I try to stay out of it because I am far from an expert. I've read about this stuff extensively because I feel like if I want to talk about Asian video games and manga
Right.
and anime and stuff like that, I should have a clue and a half what I'm talking about, but I'm by no means an expert on Pan-Asian history.
Oh, I
Right.
think Shelby has a good comment over
Yeah.
here.
It's about the females only being affected, and maybe about how trans would deal with it.
Supergirl did that though with Dreamer. So
And there was actually a webtoon on that. It was a whole family female line of magical girls, right? But
Yeah.
one of them is a trans guy, and so he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a magical girl, and so
Oh.
of course he's forced to wear the
Oh.
outfit and everything.
Supergirl did the opposite. They had Nia Null. It's all the women who get the powers, but Nia Null's a trans woman, and she gets the gift. So it was very much a trans women or women metaphor.
True. Now, do you think they
Yeah.
might do that for a Turning Red 2, maybe? Or do you think that will get too political?
Uh,
They could.
it's Disney Plus, and they
Hmm.
seem to be able to go farther on Disney Plus.
Right.
I have
Well,
seen a lot.
it wasn't supposed to be on Disney Plus originally.
See,
Punks.
to me, the whole transformation metaphor with this stuff is dealing with the whole identity and your who you are as a person is not your outside, it's your inside.
Right.
And I it's one of those things where how literal do you want to get and cause a huge shitstorm versus do you want to continue this thing of the people who will see it if they
Hmm.
don't you know that sort of thing. I don't know. I do think because of the way they collapse time, you could have Maymay's kid. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they would have Maymay have a trans girl.
You do know they have to be biological, though. It has to be biological. That much has been made clear with this movie.
Okay, but is gender in the body or in the brain?
That I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that's
It's
why you can't have an adoption. Is what I'm saying.
but it's emotional, therefore it would be in the brain.
True. Again, we don't know. They never really specify that part of the ritual and everything. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they could do it, and based on the amount of gay coding in this movie,
Hmm.
will they go trans coding? Like, will they do the whole thing of maybe
You're
Maymay's
right. Magic
kid?
isn't. You're right, Shelby. Magic isn't
Right.
tied to science, aka biology, but there are certain rules. It seems like with this, blessing or curse. Again, I just love how the mom calls it an inconvenience. And again, I love that little smile. She goes from a smile to biting her lip. Like, hmm,
That was a bit of a period metaphor too.
right,
Because back in the day it was, oh, the flower of your womanhood and all that stuff, and now it's just I'm on the
right,
you
right.
know
But you know what? Speaking of which, you want to know one show I recall that really took the idea of something that's supposed to be for a female, but ends up being a dude who inherited it? You ever heard of the show She's How?
no.
How about you, Bianca? Have you ever heard of She's How?
She's what?
She's Out. Shezow. It was a cartoon about a young guy. His aunt had passed away. She was a superhero known as Shizao, and eventually he and his sister go. They go to her house and everything, and eventually finds the magic ring that turns her into Shizao, and he puts it on mockingly and turns into Shizao, basically. But as far as anyone who sees, there's something about the rules of Shizao. Anyone that sees him, they're not going to see him as a dude dressed as Shizao. They're just going to see Shizao. But we, the audience, see it, and we never see what the other people see him as. But it's just the idea of this dude having to act like a female superhero.
So what's funny about that is that I've never heard of this show, but I'm looking at the images of this show, and for some reason, YouTube is giving me recommendations of really small clips of this show.
It's just the antics he's had to put up with and having to do the squeaky voice and all that.
But the funny thing is that it's mostly the girl part. So I
Oh yeah, well yeah.
I wouldn't have known it was a guy.
He's not turning into a girl. He doesn't turn into a girl. He just puts on the outfit and had to act like a girl superhero. And due to the
Ah.
abilities of being Shizao, no one can recognize him as a dude or as who he's supposed to be.
The thing I don't understand is how Naruto hasn't been retroactively canceled for the sexy technique. He turns into a woman.
I was about to say you were pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, I for years it was the westernized pronunciation, and then Anime Con schooled me on Naruto. But yeah, but there is no nuance in the people that lose their shit over
No.
anything gender bend now. But it's like Naruto is this block, right?
Yeah, it just feels like these people want to get more outraged over littler and littler things just so they can have something to be mad about. It's like, They don't care. They will, even if it's something that they liked. The moment it's just one thing they could be outraged on, they will throw every enjoyment they had under the bus.
I just saw a thumbnail saying, "Is the comedy in Red Panda like? Is it too much? Is it gonna make you like blush with embarrassment?" And I'm like, I
That's the point.
didn't.
Yeah, no, oh,
I didn't
I
find
can see some
anything
points.
wrong.
I can see some points having a girl completely blush over it.
I thought I loved the fact that they were hot messes and it's deliberately cringe because
Oh
you
yes,
guys
but
know
again,
how I
especially the
hate
moment with
cringe.
the tampons, especially the moment with the tampons and everything. You're just like,
Yeah.
even I was just like, but again, but it's that cringe where you're like, you knew that's what they were trying to get out of you.
Well, I also think you
Didn't
couldn't
I didn't
make
get anything. Dang, I got the wrong reaction for
Mhm.
this.
well, one person said to me that, oh, the first 20 minutes of Turning Red are cringe before I watched it. But I'm like, no, I loved it within about two.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I loved it
Yeah.
within, yeah, and
But
again, what really
I,
got me. Sorry.
sorry, I'm too old to buy into this millennial cringe thing. It's something I absolutely, it's again, one of these things that makes Liana's panda come out. I get incredibly
Hmm.
angry at the whole idea of cringe because
Yeah.
but that whenever a female character tries to be funny or whenever a male character tries to be sensitive, it gets labeled cringe
Why?
because it makes people uncomfortable, and anything that makes them uncomfortable gets this pejorative label slapped on it.
And
It
I say
reminds
that.
me of this one YouTuber who did a whole watching female comedians until I laugh. And none of the comedians were funny to me, but the one that he laughed at was this woman. Like I didn't think she said anything funny. She was just what's it called? She was just being mean, and that was her comedy, like making fun of like
No.
Taylor Swift and all that stuff. And I was like, this is hilarious. And I'm like, okay, if you think it's funny.
Do you think this bot knows they're spamming a furry stream?
I don't
I know,
think.
wrong audience.
Yeah, wrong audience, Naked HD.
Well, they're bots. They don't really think.
Yeah, but why are
You
they
can't
like
say that, Robert.
you're advertising to the wrong crowd
Oh,
here?
hey, came back to what Liana mentioned before. Was all the different pandas for the grandmother,
Yeah.
Ming, Mei Mei, and the ants. I liked all their different forms and how they look distinct.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was cool, but that was very furry again.
Yeah.
Like this movie
So
has
fluffy.
so much kink coding. There's like mermaid boys, there's angel wings, there's I mean just the fact it's mermaid boys, there's yiffing,
Mm.
there's a twerking red panda.
Shake
After
that. Did you catch them? Their friends saying, "Shake that moneymaker."
yeah, after the twerking donkeys and Encanto, Disney is doubling down. But like again, there's all this gay coding, there's all this furry just outright.
Again, I have nothing against it. And when I see this stuff, that's what I don't get. It's like we've been going through so long of media being one way, and it's like, why can't we embrace more of it without saying it's all being shoved down our throat? Because it's not all being shoved down our throats.
Well, I
Some are,
mean,
some are. I will be honest.
it's a difficult thing, right? Because we have this whole no pedo thing in
Uh,
culture now.
okay, define what's pedophilic about some things. Like the fact that again we saw that one tweet where someone's saying this whole movie's pedophilic.
Well, it's the whole thing with cuties as well.
They bring up cuties in that thing. They brought up cuties in that.
Any realistic depiction of how girls from 11 to 14 actually encounter the world is considering sexualizing children. And that's why I'm really really impressed Disney went there, because it's not age inappropriately sexualizing children. It's depicting how girls of that age actually view the world. And
Yeah.
I think that's okay, but you have this Puritan streak in America that loses its shit and brands anything LGBTQ plus pedo because it's an instant shutdown.
But they're like, I have gay friends, and I'm like, well, yo, you don't call them a pedo unless you do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, they do behind their backs. That's
And I
true.
and I say this. Okay, are there cases of people who are saying like, "Oh, we're gonna change, do this to you"? Are there people who are more malicious? Oh yes. Are they the majority? Hell no. But unfortunately, because of the few bad apples, they want to say it spoils the whole bunch.
I think they just also use it as a shutdown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it,
they just there's no logic behind it. It's disingenuous. They just know that, pedo is one of the worst things you can accuse a person of. And so they just use it as
oh,
anything.
you gotta make a good point again. We didn't get a close up of May May's ass. No, it was from a back shot and everything. We didn't get anything. The most we got was the mom's tail. That was the
Oh, he's
most.
talking about cuties.
Oh, cuties. No, he
Yeah.
said because turning red didn't show. Oh, right.
I mean, I've seen 9-year-olds twerking.
Well, at
Not
least
not like
she's
not I
13.
did not seek it out, to be clear. And that's the thing, it does
Oh,
happen. And you got to be able to talk
okay.
about the fact that this is a phenomenon that happens, rightly or wrongly. If it happens, we should be able to depict it in media. There's a
Now,
responsible and
there,
irresponsible way of doing it, right?
now it was a problem when you had the Powerpuff Girls doing it, and they're supposed to be in first grade and all that stuff. And
Really?
it was
Oh, I didn't know that about
yeah,
Powerpuff Girls.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
they
it
were in
was the
kindergarten.
reboot. It
No,
was the
they,
reboot.
it was supposed to be kindergarten. But yeah, well, technically it's a reboot. Technically, it takes place after the original series because they were in preschool. Now they're in kindergarten. But yeah, having them twerk,
Well,
that
no,
is
they
wrong.
just switched schools because their other school got demolished.
Yeah, but they went
So
up a grade. They were in preschool in the original show. Now they're in kindergarten.
I must have missed that part. But the
Yeah.
original guy is not with the reboot. He didn't want
Oh yeah. Oh
anything to
yeah.
do
He had
on it.
nothing to do with it. And but the fact that was wrong. When you have Powerpuff Girls, it's supposed to be kindergartners twerking. Something's wrong. When you have a 13-year-old girl and turning
They were
red,
also on drugs, by the way.
well,
They were
that
like
too.
high.
Yep. And there was a panda in that. Yeah, but like I said, though, but when you have a 13-year-old gyrating slash twerking, it's like, I don't see a problem with that because that felt more like a rage appropriate to the character. Now, does she look like she's 13-year-old? Depending on the style, but I can still say yes.
Well, I mean, the thing that I just go, this is all bullshit, is, Ben Shapiro can talk about stealing his sister's panties at the exact same age, and that's somehow okay, but goes no pedo when anybody does anything that insists that gay and trans people deserve dignity. And that's, I mean, this movie, now that it's officially gay coded, is going to get caught up in that. They're possibly going to use furry subculture to insist the movie is sexualizing children, and I'm concerned about that.
Oh, I just there's a person I follow, and I just saw his recent tweet. So listen to this. He's like, "I said it before, but many white people in the U.S. have a problem of empathy when it comes to media. They're so used to being themselves reflected in it that whenever it does it, it confuses or even pisses them off, and
Exactly.
they lash out. And Turning Red is just the latest example."
Exactly. I have to agree with that. So many people are it's like what I was trying to say earlier. Comic book superheroes. The majority of them have been white characters created during all that, and but yet yet it's like, so why? So what? You wanted to be? Oh, why can they all match the characters? So you want the majority of superhero movies to be just starring white people, and they have to just whatever. It's like, oh, there's plenty of black characters compared to how many white characters there are. And some of these black characters you don't want to see on the screen. You might say you want to, but deep down, you're not going to go see it if they do it.
See, I think this is the difference between the American experience and the Canadian experience, because Toronto's so multicultural, and Montreal is, and Vancouver is, that we look at this and go, yeah, that's our lives reflected in this.
Oh yeah,
Whereas
I completely understand.
we have a very different type of multiculturalism up here, and it is weird to see the freakouts in America and realize how different it is when, like, we share a border.
Yeah,
it's bizarre.
exactly.
And this is why a few years ago, when I was more into the anti SJW cult, I guess, I don't know.
I know about you and
Um,
Reagan. You both were into that cult.
So like
I never got
they
that
would
bad. I never got that
say,
bad.
like, when you see all the, like, you get influenced. I get influenced very easily, I realize, which is why I have to take a step back. But I realize that they're like, well, why parade, oh my gosh, this black actor got a job, and they're like, well, why you have to do that? Just treat it normally. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, that's true. But then I realized that media is just very white, and so I started looking for more foreign media, or more like a
Mhm.
Latino, Hispanic owned, whatever, in black owned, whatever. And they're like, well, why would you do that? Why can't they just, you just look for it and it just happens to be that way? And I'm like, because you guys don't show it. I have to look for it. Like I want to support more creators that are more, more different, that can't get their story
Yeah.
out there, whether in media or comic books, that kind of stuff. And and it's kind of weird, and I can't do that.
Yep. And like I've said, like how
Mhm.
many characters out there are tied to their whiteness? Not many, really. Not ones where it's like you cannot change it without changing the characters. You know what I mean? Fundamentally.
Well, I
Hmm.
mean, if you look at Superman coming from Kansas, that's
Kansas.
one
Yeah.
example of, a black person's experience in Kansas would be very, very
Or
different.
Peter, or even Peter having his uncle Ben get shot, and
Yeah.
also
How is that a current, relatable, everyman backstory anymore? It's not.
it's not.
Yeah.
My uncle was shot in an
You
My
know,
father, yeah,
people,
my own father
people,
figure was shot.
people being sent to live with their relatives. That's what Jewish immigrants did, that they couldn't get over themselves, so they sent their kids to live with people who were already in America.
Yep. Well, in this case,
Oh
his
yeah, no,
parents. Well, in this case, of
this
course,
is,
Peter's parents
sorry.
had to leave him behind because
Yeah.
they were spies.
Yeah, but it was living with an aunt or an uncle was not as strange now. I recognize this with Spider-Man No Way Home. It's the whole Aunt May thing.
Yeah.
It I mean, I love Marissa Tomei in the part, but it is not
The
the
same thing.
yeah, it doesn't read the same way now. It's some big
Why do you think it
tragedy
took them
now.
so long before they had to find a way to fit in with great power comes great responsibility the way they did?
I
She's
think
like
they were
barely in 3 movies.
Uh,
When she
Shelby,
was gone,
how do,
sorry.
Shelby made a good point. How do you tie a white character to their race in a way that's not about Nazis or white supremacy?
No, I was Superman coming from Kansas. It's a
Well, yeah.
different
Well,
story,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, like I said, Peter having his uncle Ben shot, and that's what made him, like it, and it's treated more of a tragedy.
Well, and it's a question of who is going to seem to pass in certain spaces and who isn't. I mean,
Yeah,
there are some characters that it is totally fine to make them privileged and therefore kind of attached to. I mean, the original Captain America, there's no
oh, no,
way.
there's no way. They proved that was truth.
Yeah.
Truth proved what happens when you have a black Captain America in World War II. You can't do it.
No, because the
They would cover
army,
it. They would cover
the army was segregated.
Yeah, well, this is why when people kept saying, "Oh, they should have Will Smith be Steve Rogers," you couldn't do that. That would
No.
change history entirely.
No. I like what they did with Sam. I'm a big Sam fan. You can tell I bring
Yeah,
him up all the time. But I
yeah.
mean, Steve Rogers.
Oh, and here's the big one I always bring up. Where was the complaint about Ra's al Ghul being whitewashed?
Mhm.
Where was the complaint about Bane twice being whitewashed?
I actually had that complaint. I got into
It was twice. Batman and Robin and Batman Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, no,
No,
yeah.
no, Dark Knight Rises.
Too.
I got into a fight with somebody about that because they made Liam Neeson was not actually race, but then he was an Asian,
was-
like an Asian guy.
Yeah, he was. I know.
What? It's the demon's head in Arabic. What is this? And that's why
Of course, you won't be the only time I hear people think, "Well, isn't race supposed to be Asian?"
No.
That's I know, but you would not believe how many times I've heard people say that.
I know, because people don't know the difference between.
They think because the League of Assassins are ninjas, he must be Asian.
Well, it's also because so many South Asian actors play Arabs on television that people don't.
But the funny thing is, though, when you look at how Bane has been in the cartoons, he's actually been voiced by Latin or Mexican voice actors or people of close enough. It's just been the movies where they get him botched. But the fact is, he's actually half white.
Wasn't the Joker voiced by a black guy in one of the?
Yeah, Kevin Michael Richardson, and in Spider-Man the anime series, Kingpin was voiced by a black guy.
Yeah,
And then because you have
Kingpin.
Michael Clark Duncan. I always
Oh,
bring
I
him
love
up.
Kevin Michael Richardson. I know. I'm sorry. I
I
couldn't put my voice out there.
I wonder about Kingpin because there's a lot of talk about whether Kingpin has to be inherently white because of the whole mob thing. And that's what I'm super torn on. I go back and
And
forth
he
a
was
lot.
never Italian in anything. Fisk is not an Italian name.
Right.
And he's
No,
never been Italian. He's just been Brooklyn. That's
but
all
all
he's ever been is
but
Brooklyn.
but keep in mind when those characters were created, the comics code would not let them use the mafia.
True. And that's why, so he was his own type of mob boss.
Yeah, they made him like an Irish mobster because that was the safe white other.
Oh
Right?
yeah, but even then he was whatever generation because he was pure Brooklyn. Let's be honest, pure Brooklyn.
Yeah, but that's why I thought it was
They're back
interesting.
again.
I thought it was interesting in Hawkeye that they
That's true.
actually said he was mob because the only reason
Oh,
they did
Hawkeye.
what they did.
The fact that you had what people didn't hate it right off the bat turned on at the moment they say, "Oh, they made Kate a Mary Sue because she took down Kingpin." Barely. She barely took him down.
She didn't take down Kingpin.
In the fight, she's the one who defeated him in a fight. She survived him in a fight. It's like,
Okay,
Bianca, I think that's on your
survive and take him
got it.
down,
We
not
got
the
it.
same thing.
Yeah, I know. But again, in their eyes, he was that was a Sue. Oh God, I'm Ian again.
Dang, this bot works fast.
See, this is what I don't like about these colloquial terms.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Sue is a shining example of a.
The Rock should be king, but no, The Rock. Well, that's the other thing is, you have Black Adam. He's supposed to be Egyptian. Is The Rock Egyptian? No.
But he has like
he
so
played the
many.
Scorpion King.
What happened?
But now, be fair, though, he does, but he does look like Black Adam. We got to give him that. He does perfectly look like him.
He
I
has so
mean-
And
many.
tone and everything.
He has a big cultural background.
Yeah, there is no say he doesn't have some Nubian
I
background.
didn't even know he had some black in him.
His dad was, yeah, Rocky Johnson.
I didn't know that. I thought he was
Who actually appeared in a Bond
Hawaiian?
movie.
Yeah, he was a football player. Yeah, but then he's got like the Polynesian background too. He is a very large man. So, like getting back to the whole Mary Sue thing, it's just it is a term that does not have a clear definition, and so people.
Even the original Mary
use it-
Sue was not a Mary Sue the way we traditionally define it.
Well,
we're
that's
fine
the
with Gary Stews all the
traditional-
time.
That's the traditional definition, and Bianca, you're right.
Yeah.
But a Mary Sue, I originally from the old Star Trek fan fiction, where the character was actually named Mary Sue. It's a game-breaking author self-insert
Who
character.
everyone loves, but she wasn't that perfect compared to other Mary Sues that get
But
worse.
she was the youngest, whatever
youngest
in
make-
the fleet, which was essentially Wesley Crusher in Next Generation. But
And everyone was so torn up when she died at the end.
it's supposed to be a self-insert character
But
because
it's not the worst. That's not the worst case of a Mary Sue who was pure perfection.
but
Because a true Mary Sue would never die.
But that is not the original meaning of Mary Sue. It's author self-insert wish fulfillment. That was the critical element, and that has just disappeared from the definition. And like, okay,
Ray sucks. I'm just kidding.
if you have issues with
Now,
overpowered,
Ray was a Mary Sue. Let's be honest.
okay, based on what definition?
Of everything got handed to her, and that she ended up being so. Once they brought back that she wasn't a nobody.
But everything didn't get handed to her. She had to wear it down.
Well, I'm talking Force Awakens. She knew how to handle the Falcon.
No, but see, we're talking about whether Ray is a Mary Sue without defining Mary Sue.
True. Look, when I've heard of Mary Sue, I've heard of it as a person who is uber powerful, cannot be defeated or barely be defeated. If it's defeated, there's like a convoluted reason behind it. Everything they do is never wrong. Everyone around them is wrong and stupid or jerks, things like
You,
that.
you just described Superman in many ways he's written.
But he's not everyone around him is a jerk though, or evil or whatnot.
But when they go against his ethics, yes, Superman is noble and pure.
True.
Wonder Woman is a Mary
Okay, you have a good. You have a good.
And this is the problem. We need a definition that doesn't create false positives.
That's
Just
very
like the word
true.
woke.
Because
You're right. You're
Wonder
right.
Woman was a virtue signal by a male creator. He believed women were superior in the world.
Oh
of
yeah,
nature.
that's the big thing about the Super Wonder Woman Earth One that Grant Morrison did. He basically took what Marston wanted and brought it to its logical
That's right.
conclusion, no matter how ridiculous that conclusion was. We're basically saying, "Oh, all women are perfect and know what to do. All women politicians know what to do." Yeah, I can think of a few that would argue that.
Marston was pushing a political viewpoint. He was, by his own definition. I mean,
I'm surprised his stuff wasn't canceled.
well,
because they couldn't dare do it without losing what became a female icon. I bet you by the time they realized they couldn't.
Apparently in the contract he made with DC,
a brilliant contract.
Yeah, it's the contract. That's the only reason Wonder Woman didn't die out years and years and years ago.
Yeah, because aside from Marston,
they had to continue to publish the comic to maintain the copyright.
Yeah, it took until Perez for them to get a creator who wanted to do it after Marston passed. Everyone else didn't want to do it. It was assigned to him. Perez was the first one saying, "I want to do Wonder Woman," and they tried to talk him out of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you actually, and this is why I challenge people to define the terms they use, because you start applying the actual definition and you get any iconic character is.
Now, can we at least agree that Riri definitely came off a bit like a Mary Sue, and that so much was handed to her that that was a case where it was, and there was no story reason for her to take over for Tony, and yet somehow she was better than him, and it was.
Yeah. I have a different take on these characters. Okay.
All right. So what's Riri?
No, I call them the Daddy's Little Angel characters, because
that's a good one. That is a good one.
A lot of these characters that we talk about being Mary Sue's are actually created by men.
Oh yeah.
And they strike me as the daughter, either who these men want their daughters to grow up to be, or they're this daughter they wish they had.
In Ben's case, we know that these were created for his adopted daughters.
But that's what Walt Disney did too.
True.
He made content for his girls.
Mm-hmm.
But what was that? Can you say it one more time?
Walt Disney made movies that his daughters could watch.
Oh, yeah.
Walt Disney made a whole theme park centered around a carousel because he enjoyed taking his daughters to the carousel. That's what
that was part of the story. That's part of the story. I don't know if you ever watched the YouTube channel Defunct Land. He's gone into way more detail. He's actually done each different steps about it.
Yeah. But there's a reason they were princesses, because he was making movies for his daughters.
Yep. Oh, Amadeus Cho. That's a case of a character who I feel him becoming a Hulk and everything was undermined when they killed off Bruce against what Greg Pak wanted. If he had kept Bruce around, because Greg Pak created Amadeus. Yeah. So this was the case where the creator knew what he was doing with the character and working through it, but then it got undermined when it became you didn't have Bruce there to help him out because Bendis wanted to kill him off.
Yeah, it's just we slap this term around and we don't realize what we're doing when we do it. We're blaming women for the creative choices of men who create shitty female characters. And why does a shitty character need a special name? It's a shitty character.
Exactly. And it's just like the whole idea of what is woke and what is just bad writing.
Well, were any of the new Star Wars characters terribly well written?
I would say...
sorry.
Depending on the movie they were in. Finn was well written in Force Awakens, but then went downhill afterwards.
Yeah.
Not again.
You could almost argue that Rey was manic pixie Stargirl, right?
Like, oh yeah, was Rey
just existed for Kylo Ren's redemption arc?
I was going to give Rey a chance with Force Awakens. Anything that felt Mary Sue-ish, I felt like I will wait until the next movie. Last Jedi came out, it made it worse.
Because of different directors, different.
Different director, different writer, exactly. He basically, in other words, the first one, it was setting up a mystery. That's why I accepted it. But
Which is so
then, yeah,
stupid.
but then Ryan Johnson took it inside a grace for women empowerment and decided it would be Ray is the best, period, deal with it.
Okay, but in the same movie, people defer to Kylo Ren for no goddamn reason.
When I agree,
over and
Kylo
over
Ren, I
again.
agree as well. Kylo Ren had so much potential, and it felt he was actually the same thing. I've looked over it. Kylo Ren was the same thing in the other direction.
But why does Ray get nailed with this pejorative, but Kylo Ren
I agree with
doesn't?
you. I agree with you on that. I think Kylo should have gotten it as well. Now, Poe was the one who got assassinated in Last Jedi. Again, great potential, and then completely derailed. I think that's the thing. If you took Last Jedi out of the equation, Last Jedi derailed so much of the goodwill that Force Awakens set up with these characters. Can we
I
at least
feel this
agree to
Kylo Ren should not have existed.
Kylo Ren was a shit character from the beginning. He was an angry fanboy in cosplay.
who killed his father, who killed Han Solo because Harrison Ford wanted to get out?
See, I thought there was going to be a whole other thing about how Kylo Ren never completed his Sith training and Han Solo actually saved his son's soul because you never saw who hit the button on the lightsaber.
Oh, I agree with it. I love that
That's
theory.
where I thought they were going with it, that Han sacrifices himself to save his son's soul. But they didn't go there. It was just a stupid, oh, I'm good now because a girl is here.
Well, that's the reason why the original writing and Colin Trevorrow was going to do was, no, he stays the bad guy.
It was just nothing.
But they decided
a child soldier. He was the janitor or whatever.
No. He was conscripted. He was conscripted, which is different than a child soldier.
I mean, I think part of the problem is Poe Dameron was supposed to die in the first movie, and then he didn't. They had too many characters and not enough to do.
And then you had to bring in oh boy, it's been so long since anyone's brought her up. What was her name? Rose Tico.
Rose Tico. I didn't mind Rose.
I didn't say I hate her, but I did find that her point in the story felt so superfluous by comparison.
I don't even remember what the heck she did.
She's the one who said we got like crazy. I know.
The thing is, one of the biggest, perfect characters, way overpowered, totally breaks the world. Anakin Skywalker is the character to beat in Star Wars in Episode 1.
But I will say this. If you go by just the movie alone, you will agree with you. But if you go by the Clone Wars show, they redeemed the character entirely.
Oh, yeah, but that's what I said, Episode 1. Anakin Skywalker in Episode 1. He's fucking 6 and beating the Empire, man. Come on. There is a tradition in Star Wars of this dumb bullshit. It didn't start with Episode 7.
You got a point there.
And because I'm an original trilogy person, I've watched we survived the Life Day special. That was
God.
But I mean, Boba Fett, massive hype about that character, and then he was on screen for 5 minutes.
Yep, it took until Mandalorian to finally show us the Boba Fett that we thought we wanted.
And fanboys are so angry.
I'm talking about Mandalorian, not Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I was never a huge Boba Fett fan, so I wasn't attached to it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was more. If there's only 2 characters I've been the biggest fan of in Star Wars, it's Mara Jade and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and they were from the books.
I was about to say, and both of them got nerfed.
Yeah, Thrawn never. No, Thrawn got overpowered. Thrawn got overpowered in the books and because people made him up as this villain Sue when he never was.
Every Jedi in Star Wars is a Mary Sue in terms of unearned power because right?
Oh God, don't get me started on that.
I mean, one could argue Baby Yoda is super overpowered.
Grogu, but I know what you mean.
Everybody loves freaking Grogu, man. I wanted Grogu to cheat on that binary choice in Book of Boba Fett, but once again, Star Wars subverted my expectations.
Now, Ahsoka was a good twist on it because they had to be that she, and that's the one thing I love about Ahsoka. Remember how everyone hated her when she was introduced, but the show finally gave her development and she became one of the most beloved characters. But now people want to forget all that and say, "Oh, we always hated her." No, you didn't.
for me, I saw everybody liking the character when she was first introduced. I liked
Now,
her
when she got
too,
right off
and
the
I'm
bat,
now seeing the hate, and I'm like, when did you guys hate this character?
Oh
they
no,
did.
there was some Ahsoka hate because it was a girl stuffed on a Star Wars ship.
Well, not just that though, but it was the idea of Anakin having an apprentice that we never knew about, and it felt
Yeah.
like, well, because also they were trying to be like, how does this fit in with Episode 3? Well, we found out how it fit in Episode 3, but I can understand why, because when you had Episode 3 and everything's supposed to fit in between, you are going to be like, how does this fit?
Oh, Star Wars retcons things all the time, though.
True. It is
Yeah.
very true. But I am so glad they brought Thrawn into the show and that he's still a main threat because he's my favorite villain of all time. Hands down, period. Both versions. I mean, I have all 6 of the books.
See, the character I want to punch is Bo-Katan. I have never been able to stand that
Bo-Katan,
character.
which is Bo.
The dark saber chick.
Hold on.
I don't
I haven't
remember
seen
if
any
she
of
was
these
a
shows.
Clone Wars.
That person.
I hated her in the cartoons. I
And
hate her
Katie
now.
Sackhoff is playing her now.
She voiced her in the cartoons
Oh,
as well, and just I don't like Katie Sackhoff's smug performance she does in everything, and she's a Mandalorian who doesn't follow any of the hardcore Mandalorian rules, but her family has all this power because Darksaber and murmur. And every time that character's on the screen, it's just. But I'm not going to say Mary Sue. Just
Oh no, I agree. But again,
you
I do
know,
think Mary Sue, much like woke, has lost its meaning.
it lost its meaning when it lost that author self-insert requirement.
Yes, but when it became more of a case of a just introduce a character you don't like that feels too OP'd or getting everything their way.
Yeah, the
But in a way,
problem is,
I think though when you compare to Superman, Superman is technically a Gary Stu, Mary Sue, whatever. But those world works around it, the stories are fine. I think it's when it comes to bad writing is when people call it a Mary Sue.
I disagree that Superman's a Marty Stu or a Gary Stu.
Well, Gary Stu, I've always heard as being the male version of a Mary Sue.
Yeah,
I heard that Luke Skywalker is a Gary Stu.
Probably. That there's a better case
Luke,
for that.
but I think though his getting to that point made more sense compared to someone who, because he still had to earn it.
Yeah, but the thing about Superman is it was a character that
Power fantasy. It was a power fantasy.
But Terry Siegel and Joe Shuster created a protector character for the little guy. They didn't see themselves as the protector character. They saw themselves as little guy. Their self-insert was Jimmy Olsen.
Oh yeah, definitely. Basically, yeah, the whole point Superman was supposed to be the guy they would want to protect them.
Right. That's not the same as I'm putting myself in the story. I mean, if you look at the guy who they cast on as Gaius Baltar in the new Battlestar Galactica, and you look at Ronald D. Moore, the showrunner, they could be like twinsies. He just put himself in that goddamn show.
And I will say this, I could see a bunch of recent created characters, depending on the comic creator. A lot of their characters are their own self-insert Mary Sues.
I mean, Hermione Granger is a self-insert Mary
Let's
Sue.
not go. Let's not bring anything J.K. Rowling into this. I don't want to go down that.
like Hermione is J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter is J.K. Rowling. Ron Weasley is based on J.K. Rowling's husband.
Mm-hmm.
And marry her off to Hermione. Like,
yeah, but even though she later, do you believe her when she said she regrets not pairing Hermione and Harry up? Because it did feel, I was one of those who felt like
she would marry herself.
I think if J.K. Rowling could marry herself.
Yes, I agree. But I felt there was more stuff between Harry and Hermione. I was one of those people.
That's what I thought. That's why I was surprised when she went with Ron. I'm like, what?
Harry Potter is a bad person from book 4 onward.
I don't remember anything. I'm not a real fan. I'm sorry. I didn't read the books either.
Asshole who uses his friends, and talk about a character that didn't earn what he got, man.
I'd have to reread it. I'll be honest, I'd have to reread the books. It's been so long since I've read through them.
There's so much of J.K. Rowling's own issues in those books, and the fact that the Harry Potter series jumps from kid lit in the first 3 to YA in the back 4, it changes the whole tone of everything. And there's a lot wrong with those Harry Potter books. The fact that no one could see that J.K. Rowling was kind of a psycho back then. They didn't want to, right? And this is the big thing. I could tell you all the reasons I think George R. R. Martin is an incredibly overrated writer. You
I've
know,
never read his work.
like
I've only known about. I never even watched Game of Thrones. So
what is considered great and what is considered bad is to an extent subjective. And
agreed.
a lot of works flop when they first come out and find an audience later.
Oh yeah, very much. So. Blade Runner.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of musicals, really successful musicals, flop in their first incarnation.
So, and, yeah.
The book that Wicked is based on is hot ass garbage, man. It's unreadable. But they distilled it and made a really great musical with cool songs. So hey, and
or how about Little Shop of Horrors?
Okay, you know I love
based off of a '60s movie that was made in 2 days.
Yeah, but yeah,
and the fact that's why everyone knew it. That's someone who worked on it. The original '60s Little Shop of Horrors was a joke in the industry. It was made in 2 days.
Yes,
but then they made a musical that's been so beloved and then led to a great movie and all that. And I love that movie. That's one of my favorite musicals.
I love it too. See, Kinky Ray, what George R. R. Martin did for Elden Ring is sold a butt ton of copies of Elden Ring. You're right. That you don't. They had lunch once, and he's like, you know what you should do. And what's his name? I forget his name. Writes it all down, but they said from the mind of innovative writer George R. R. Martin. No, it's totally a freaking Souls game. It's totally Souls lore. But the sales.
It's from Soft. It's from Soft.
Yeah, but the sales of Elden Ring speak for themselves. That's what George R. R. Martin did. If another Game of Thrones book ever comes out, I will be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
The ending that he dictated with the series was thoroughly rejected. He's never going to finish that series. He'll die before it's finished.
I agree.
Sorry, I had to mute for a second. What were we talking about now?
George R. R. Martin and the bot's back.
On my side.
Yep.
Wider point is what's considered great and what's considered not good is somewhat subjective and based more on taste than objective quality.
Right.
I thought Elden Ring was Lord of the Rings, and I thought it was a show or spin-off or something. And then everybody's like, no, it's a video game. And I'm like, what?
That's an Amazon Prime series that's coming up. That's called
the Ring or something.
Yeah, Rings of Power or something like that.
Yeah. Now, where do you stand on that? Where do you stand on that? Do you think that they're just, especially when you have some people who are calling out Tolkien, do you think that tells you they have no heart in this? They just want to use it for themselves?
I'm going to use a personal anecdote to explain this. It is going somewhere, I promise.
Okay, go ahead.
When the original, picture it. Toronto, whenever the fuck Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring came out. I saw the first production still of Arwen, and I'm like, these movies are gonna fucking suck because Arwen is a fairy tale princess in elf form.
2001.
Yeah. Perfected. Arwen did not ride around with a sword and armor. That was Éowyn. But what was one of the production stills? Liv Tyler with the fucking sword in armor with a scratch on her cheek. Like, how did an elf get fucking scratched if she's like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, they do not understand these movies at all. I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah, but here's
it's just this has all happened before. This has all happened again.
But Jackson never talked bad about Tolkien. No.
So what? We're talking about the production still.
Okay, but right? I'm talking about
the same issue.
But I'm talking about those who are more taking offense when you see the people working on the Amazon show basically saying like, "Oh, we're going to fix his mistakes" and all that stuff. So that's where I feel like their heart's not in it beyond what they want to do. They want to make it their Middle Earth, not Tolkien's Middle Earth.
How is that different than any adapted work ever made, though?
Again, I think
I personally don't like is that people are sending this meme everywhere and it has a picture of Tolkien, and it is a meme with the caption saying, "Evil people can't come up with original things. They
Oh
have to
God, I
steal
hate
from
that.
others, and I'm just like, how is that evil
That would be a
though?
hypocrite. No, that would be a hypocritical statement from him, if
So
true.
the Lord
I'm
of the
not sure if he's quoting
Rings,
it though,
the
but
Lord
it's
of
what
the
people are sending.
Rings was Catholic propaganda mixed with a love of donk filtered through epic Greek and Roman myth. Like
What's
But
that?
but it wasn't as blatant with its religious scenes compared to say
oh no,
Narnia. Compared to Narnia,
no, in the books,
compared to
it,
Narnia is what I'm comparing it to, though. The
yeah,
Narnia book.
but Tolkien got Lewis hooked on the religion smack.
Hominid's made a good point there. Fix their mistakes. Where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, and you're not gonna believe how many times I've seen people who don't care for pointing this culture war stuff. Even they complained about the changes done because of what they took away from Cowboy Bebop.
You know what my issue was with Cowboy Bebop eventually? It just looked cheap, the finished product.
Yeah, but the funny is they took out, they played it. The funny thing is, people going to complain about it, they made it woke. They played it safe. They took away a lot of the political stuff in general, and basically took away the stuff that made the characters endearing. It just made it generic.
The color treatment didn't work for me. It looked like it was shot on like a handy cam in a lot of places. I think
Yep.
they did a 60 frames or something treatment on it. Just
Oh, that's
looked
the look. That's the look. I'm talking about with the characters. They took away a lot of
It
their
looked
endearing stuff.
boring. The background.
yeah, it just looked cheap to me
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of it. It had nothing to do with, I mean, I checked out but it wasn't a good show. It was somebody thinking, hey, Netflix's algorithm says that people watch a lot of Cowboy Bebop. Let's make a live action Cowboy Bebop, right?
Now,
It's
here's one thing I want to ask. Why do you think some creators and people involved with the shows want to do interviews? Do you think they do it just to get a rise out of the people? Do you think they do it because they want to own the haters, or do you think they really truly believe what they say when
They've
they
had
want
their,
to say they fix things?
they've had their heads filled with shit by people who never have to put their faces on camera or their voices on any sort of recording. I wish somebody would do a show based on the way showrunners and producers and directors talk actors into terrible choices.
Oof.
It is this cycle of manipulation. Like, you watch them do it with Kevin Smith as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? But people are talked into shit. Earlier in my career when I was on television, I was talked into some shit. But
Oh yeah.
afterwards, it's like I was freaking it is so insidious the way they do it. They get you to agree to things and they leave out certain key details.
Oh yeah.
And
I can.
then
Yeah.
and
Like how
then
many? Sorry.
well, what ends up happening is, okay, you're committed now, and then the sunk cost fallacy kicks in, right? Like, I've committed, I don't want to go back on my word, I trust these people, and so you end up doing something that is a terrible fucking idea.
Oh
And
yeah.
sometimes something can feel great, the original script is amazing, and then, I mean, look at the Justice League film. That was not the movie that all those actors signed up to make.
Oh no, no,
Right?
no.
So
Yeah. Sorry.
actors and
Well, actually, funny you bring
celebrities.
it up. Funny you bring it up because how many people on Snyder's vision bought into his vision, not realizing how much it was deviating from some of the characters?
Oh, I don't think they know.
Yeah, that's why they still feel like we want to stick to Snyder when it's like, but your Superman is too brooding. Your Superman is not going. That's why I keep on saying.
His
For
But
all
he's
the,
realistic.
yeah, but
Yeah,
that's why I keep on saying this. For all my ills for Joss Whedon's Justice League, and I do not like that. But his Superman, after he finally comes back at the end, felt like the closest to animated Superman that I've seen in ages.
okay,
Get ready for the Ayer cut.
but the shit with the butterfly on the hand and him derping
No,
all
no, no,
over
no,
that farmhouse, like,
Oh
that
no,
was,
I mean after that. I'm talking about when he actually showed up at the end, when he's carrying the house after Flash saved all the people. So much of that
wow.
felt like that was
I
that
don't
was
even remember that. I was so checked out by
yeah.
that.
Okay, the Flash is going through all this stuff to save a group of people, and Superman's carrying a whole house. It's like
See,
great,
I
thanks,
hate,
man.
I hate that Flash. I hate that
Oh,
Flash.
Ezra Miller.
He wasn't as annoying in the Snyder cut, and I'm sorry.
I
but
will
I
agree
thought
with
he
that.
didn't
I
do
will
it.
agree with
Yeah.
that. But
Like,
From the clip I saw, I will agree because I didn't watch either because I'm too smart. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Oh
but
no,
I'm just talking
avoid
about
it,
just
Bianca.
Superman. But just Superman. I'm just saying it was just Superman. Snyder never got him. The fact that he felt like we had to break him apart to build him up because we didn't want to open up with him as a Boy Scout, it's like you don't get the character then. You should not have to break him down to make him the true blue Superman because when are you ever going to get to it? You're not, especially when his original plan was to have Superman be cucked by Batman and have be Lois has Bruce's kid. That was his original plan that Warner Brothers say no to. But the fact he went there right away tells you he never got Superman.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing. Why would you give the movie
You're a
to
Batman
that
fanboy
guy?
then. You're a Batman guy who's looking at Superman the way you think Batman does.
Oh yeah, it's totally Frank Miller's Superman.
Well, early Superman, not later Superman. Because Frank Miller actually got Superman right in his Dark Knight 3, where he actually had Batman admit, Superman is better than me.
We got to the Snyder cut.
Yeah, but
in
again,
12.
again, Miller. Oh God, broke Superman for
Oh,
so
yeah.
long. Before,
Well, yeah, you know, when you really look
devastation.
at it, though, I've reread Dark Knight Returns, and when you look at it,
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry.
get where they're going with it, but at the same time, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out. It's a case where if it served the story, it needed to happen for the story, but it's not as bad as people made it out. Like, yeah, Batman kicks him around because Superman was already weakened by a missile that Batman had nothing to do with.
I'm just amazed at how much Superman and Lois won me over.
Oh,
What
yeah.
a good Superman.
Oh, and
What a
I
Stargirl.
still have to finish season 1.
Oh,
But
Oh.
like for some reason, does anybody have a Roku just in case?
I have a
I do have a Roku. I have a Roku, yes.
So like I got the CW app for my dad's Roku, and I went to Superman and Lois, but it only had season 2, and I'm like, but I have.
It's
the
on
season.
HBO Max. It's on HBO Max.
That's
Season 1.
right. Okay. That's
Season
right.
1 is on HBO Max.
Yeah, but I mean,
Wait, did it
both-
change? Like I see season 1 like on the CW still on my app, or did it change to HBO Max? Because I haven't checked in a while.
I think it went to HBO Max.
I think if you
Probably
go there, I
created a
think if you
window
click on
and
it
then-
now, it'll tell you go to HBO Max, I think.
Yeah.
Or you have to
I
pay
hate
money.
technology.
But I
But,
mean, both-
funny I was going to mention Stargirl. You want to know, I'm going to always bring this up, of a case of people who claim woke but have no idea what they're talking about. I think I've said this before, but I'm just going to say it again. I say it all the time. It's when you add heel versus babyface, trying to tell people that Wildcat and Dr. Midnight, and Bess and Yolanda were brand new characters made up because they couldn't think of anyone original to replace these white male leads. And it's like, these are long-established characters who were created in the 80s.
yeah, they're straight out of the comics.
You have no idea what you're talking about if you think they were brand new made for this. And this is before people saying, oh, they race bent, gender bent, it's automatically woke. This is before they got to that. This is where he was claiming these were brand new, made up.
The thing that blew my mind about Stargirl season 1 is it's actually an anti-woke show.
Yeah, very much so. The bad guy is so woke with everything, and yet it's like,
That's
and
what I
everybody
loved about it.
screams about it. And even season 2 was really damn good, I felt.
Yeah, season 2 went more personal, I think,
Yeah.
because they had to, and it was COVID disrupted, right?
True. I love the fact the whole season it's just the same title, but like part 1, part 2.
Okay, Johnny Thunder. I was so excited that Jakeem was playing Crystal Castles. I freaked. It's one of those things that I thought I was the only person who remembered that game. And then he's playing Crystal Castles, and I'm like, that is deep nerd. I immediately love him.
Yeah, but I cannot wait for next season when you set up Keith David playing Director Bones.
Yeah. What a
Perfect!
great casting. What great casting. Yeah.
And he's just having to do the voice. You don't even have him on screen unless he puts on that stuff on his face.
Yeah. No, it's weird. Those characters are all. I mean,
and Yolanda's still around. Bess hasn't been seen since they killed her and Yolanda off in Eclipso, but Bess and Yolanda's been brought back recently
I mean, they claim to worship Jeff Johns, but then they freak out about Stargirl being woke, and Jeff Johns was the one that made the JSA a legacy property in the modern era. Yeah.
I mean, he's the one who brought back Ma Hunkle, and then eventually gave us Cyclone.
Yeah.
Now, I hope they do Cyclone justice, even though they change her. I'm afraid that they're just slapping the name on. They might not get her personality.
No, they're definitely not getting her personality. Just from what I've seen, I'm like, I can probably tell
Not
she
this.
doesn't
Yeah,
act
she's
like
not
that.
this bubbly girl. She's that from what I can see.
She
She
looks
doesn't
more
seem that way.
serious.
Well, we'll see because like
Again,
I also
that could
don't know from the comics, by the way. Everybody just keeps telling me that she's a bubbly, happy-go-lucky, that kind of
Well,
thing.
she's
So I'm
also
like,
broke. But
okay.
now, here's the thing though about her. I want to say quickly. She is that way because she had emotional trauma that Jeff Johns never got to explaining what it was.
I always saw Cyclone as an awkward drama nerd who was putting on the happy.
Which she was, because Bob is
Right.
covering up her the
You can
trauma.
tell
Again, we never knew.
difference.
We never knew what the trauma was. We never found out.
Yeah,
She was abducted, but we don't know what happened.
but I thought her bubbliness was more like nervous bubbliness, not
Okay.
happy.
She was experimented on, which probably explains her powers.
Yeah, like I never saw Cyclone as the actual happy. So I think that
Well, I agree. I think they don't read the comics. They just want the drama. They claim they're big fans when they're really not.
well, the thing I loved about Cyclone is she made her costume based on like odds and ends from the wardrobe room in the drama.
And she went for Wizard of Oz a little bit with it. And it's like, it's right down to the hat.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love that
I
hat.
saw that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
wait,
just
I just
cute
want to
orgy.
give a little pause just to remind everybody who is on here, make sure to like all of the channels.
Yep, like
Thank you
all
for
of them.
stopping by.
Yeah. But yeah, but again, I still say Pierce Brosnan, perfect casting for Dr. Fate. Perfect casting.
Yeah, there's a few
No,
ways.
but
that could have gone,
do you
I'm
think they're
happy
going
with
to keep him on, or do you think he's going to die? Because there have been stories where Kent dies.
I think he's going to be a one-off character.
it. Possibly.
Now, at least himself. The helmet's going to continue on.
Yeah.
But I do think Kent, because especially with how old he's looking, yeah, Kent's probably, this is his last mission, I bet.
Yeah,
That's what I'm feeling.
I mean,
And
who knows, right? This is all just speculation.
Right. But
yeah.
Yep. But I will say this: when it comes to back to Superman and Lois, that's a case of using the multiverse right, where you kept thinking that was Black Lex Luthor, until you find out it was John Henry Irons.
That was a nice.
I loved how they used that as a twist, because again, I was like, hey, this guy feels like a good Lex Luthor, and I wouldn't be minding a Lex Luthor
Spoilers?
saying that.
I'm just kidding. I don't care if I didn't finish season 1 yet. I'll get to it.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just this idea. But then, of course, everyone loves season 1. Everyone adores it. And then, right, and they see the trailer for season 2. They're saying, "We're working for helping America." I've given that to the world long ago. Oh, woke! It sucks. This whole show sucks. It always sucked.
But
Okay.
season 1, I literally watched. It hasn't been like 10 episodes that I've watched yet, and he goes to China and saves people from China. Like,
But they don't say anything about it. But they don't say anything.
You see
that
China,
becomes
kids
relevant.
dying. He goes over there and saves him.
No, that becomes relevant. That actually is a plot point that creates a tension with Sam Lane's replacement.
All right.
Sam
But yeah,
Lane?
Sam Lane. That's Lois's father.
Lois's dad.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But again, though, the fact that caused people to have a tizzy and now to hate the show thing, it was woke. It was always woke. It's like,
here's what is kind of exhausting about these comic book fights is
yeah.
For years, the rest of us were expected to see bits of ourselves in white, straight, cisgender male characters, right?
Yep.
And we were considered capable of doing that.
Yep.
But now that they're opening things up, it's a bad thing that people have to work to see themselves in characters that don't look like them because they're so used to having characters that look like them and love the people they love and like all and have the gender identity they have centered in the story. I just don't understand why somebody can't, if they're a good character. I don't know how anybody takes issue with Kate Bishop.
Yeah. Oh,
you
want to know a case where I had
been pretty badass.
And
there was an example of the character they found who happened to be deaf and Native American also happened to have a prosthetic leg, so they just went with it. Like,
yeah. But here's
That's
something
really
I say.
awesome.
Here's something else I want to say. You know who's my favorite superhero of all time, right? The female Dr. Light.
Oh, nice.
And she, yeah, Kimi Ohoshi. Asian, Japanese woman, single mother, kid, with 2 kids. One of those who divorced in a point when that was considered taboo. And I was so excited she was going to appear on Flash. Guess what, to my disappointment, ended up being? She's Iris West from the alternate Earth. That ain't Asian. That ain't anything like that. But did you see me throw a titsy fit? No, I was disappointed, a little annoyed, but I moved on.
I'm a big Poison Ivy fan, and they have never done that character justice outside of the comics. I mean, the Ivy Harley stuff, yes, when we get little snippets of that, but
Yeah, but
live action,
Uma Thurman's version, she had the look, but nothing else.
they made her look like a drag queen.
I'm talking about when she was full Poison Ivy.
No, they made her look like a drag queen. That was gay camp. That movie, that wasn't hyper feminine. That was a Judith Butler book right there. Sorry, you guys probably don't know that reference.
No.
No, that had the makeup, the wig, it was all drag. It wasn't hyper feminine.
True, but what about the anime series? I mean, the regular Batman anime series.
Well, Batman animated series, that was when Paul Dini with Ivy and Harley and stuff like that. The animated series was so distilled that it didn't have the same job to do as the live action stuff.
That's very true. And yeah, they've never gotten her right in the live action. But I will say she is one of those characters who's distinctive by her red hair, at least.
Yeah, but they're never going to put her in a modern movie because they never want to do mysticism.
Or they want, and I think so many people want her with Harley. They want have you noticed? Poison Ivy's become one of those characters where you have 2 different camps. They either want to be the full-on villain or they want her to be with Harley.
See, I'd actually watch Ivy Harley movie with Margot Robbie. They don't know what to do with her Harley. She's good as the character, but they do not know what to do with that.
No, I think James Gunn has an idea. I do think James Gunn has an idea.
She was my least favorite part of Suicide Squad.
Oh. Right, Suicide Squad or The Suicide Squad?
Which one was the first one?
Okay, the first one was Drek, but the James Gunn Suicide Squad, her whole subplot just felt super tacked on. The entire movie could have happened without her.
Okay, I will give you that. Give you that.
That one scene, the payoff scene midway through, all right, fine, that was pretty good. But the whole time, I'm like, she is useless.
You have a good point there. You have a good point on that one.
Yeah,
they could have just killed her off like they did Boomerang, and nothing would have been lost.
It just
my
felt
brother
like
actually, that was his complaint in the movie. He didn't finish watching it because he and his friends found it boring, and they didn't like that Captain Boomerang died. But Harley Quinn was plot armored, I guess.
Oh, she was totally plot armored.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, she's popular. They're not going to kill her off.
Yeah, but Boomerang should be one of those who always survives, just like Deadshot.
I was wondering if his contract ended or something.
No, it's because, and then the funny thing is, he was one of the actors people liked from the first movie.
That's why they did it, though.
That's why I didn't like that. I'm like, come on.
But the stories, the war movies, they were homaging in those scenes that happened. They'd get a big name actor and kill them off fairly early as a shocker for the audience.
Scream.
Oh yeah, like Michael Rooker killing him off, making him a wuss in the movie. Yeah. You think he's going to be this badass, and he's like, ah!
Yeah. That's a film. James Gunn is such a film history nerd, but he's also like a trauma guy. And he's going back to his roots on this stuff. Like
Peacemaker, but that was so good.
So good.
But the only thing I have problems with, I just didn't like how they took out the the officer.
So it wasn't Sonya.
The Asian lady, right?
Yeah, her. I just did not like how they turned her, and it's like they killed her off. In other words, I'm like, damn. Why?
It was a zombie story without zombies.
Well, I know, but the fact that they set up this character, you liked her, great acted, and bada bing, bada boom, dead.
The thing is, that show's so weird, you never know if she's going to be back or not.
I don't think she will. Oh, the fact you have Batmite basically made canon.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't know whether they're going to get a second season.
Oh no, he
from
wrote this
that
during
show.
COVID, and he didn't even think they were going to take it.
Yeah. It was another show that just shouldn't have
Oh,
happened,
I gotta say
and
this:
that's why it
the
was good.
whole Aquaman fucks fish. I didn't see them as confirming it at the end. I saw the case where where Barry was just taking a jab, and yeah, officer's like "fuck you, Barry." He's like he wasn't saying it like "fuck you," okay, for saying it's true, and
Okay,
it's like
but hold on, isn't Aquaman technically kind of a fish himself?
depending on what you define Atlanteans, some Atlanteans are more fish-like than others. They're
Yeah,
depending on
that
but that depends on what part of Atlantis. So
right,
not all Atlanteans are part fish. So technically, no.
and
They eat them though, just like other fish.
which is friggin' weird, but
Oh, I love how Jeff Johns brought that out. I was like, but you talk to fish. I don't talk to them. I nudge them. I never communicate with them.
I was
all
thinking
right,
about the
guys.
Aquaman cartoon, that the 3-part series I was on
Oh
Cartoon
God, don't get me
Network.
started on that show.
I love that show. I'm sorry.
You guys start
Oh,
winding up.
yeah, if we can wind down, I gotta get going. So
All
yeah,
right, all right.
Mara's a mermaid, so yeah.
Yep, but yeah, so yeah, but overall, yeah, check see Turning Red and Turning Red. If you have Disney Plus, it doesn't cost you anything, which I wouldn't have watched if they were. I'm thankful for that. Actually, since we're in the top of Pixar, you looking forward to Lightyear?
No.
No,
To be completely honest, I'm done with Toy Story.
I
I
want
was
them
never
to bring.
interested in Toy Story that much.
I
Yeah.
just say this. I want them to bring back Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, but you know they never will because Pixar hates that show.
Oh, really? I didn't know
They
that.
hate it. That's the reason why Lasseter hated it. Mostly because here's why. He always saw what we're getting from Lightyear is what he saw Buzz Lightyear's, what Andy loved and saw based off of it. He didn't see it as camp. He saw it more like a space ghost.
Okay, but I mean, Lasseter was bug fuck nuts.
Well, but others at Pixar agreed with him, is what I'm saying. Others at
Okay.
Pixar agreed with that viewpoint, and they're basically saying this movie, Lightyear, is what Andy saw and got him to love the show.
Yeah.
So here's what I would say. Here's my way of having both exist. That's the movie. Buzz Lightyear Star Command is the TV show or cartoon show based off of this movie in universe for Toy Story.
The one I'm trying not to get too hyped about is Moon Knight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really love Moon Knight and I have high
Ooh.
hopes, but it's a big swing. And Eternals was so terrible. I'm checking my expectations on all things
But
Marvel.
Amazing Spider-Man was and when Spider-Man No Way Home was so good.
Yeah, but that's Spider-Man. You're
Well, what about
talking
Doctor Strange? What about Doctor Strange?
Hasn't
What, the
come out
original
yet.
movie?
No, the upcoming one.
I don't like that they're just letting Wanda off the hook. Fuck all of that.
That we know. From what I've heard rumors saying, she's not.
The end credit, the mid credit sequence where it's like, yeah, I don't care about that. You have to help me. Like, fuck.
From what
stop doing
again,
that.
from what I understand, it's actually going to be a case where she's going to be manipulated and go worse. That's what I've heard. That she's going to go
Agatha
worse.
was right. I'm on Team Agatha. I'll watch it. I'll watch House of Harkness.
Oh, I
I
can't
already
wait for
spoiled
that.
myself on the Multiverse of Madness movie, but I won't say anything about what happens.
Am I on the right track or am I way off? You can tell me that.
You're on the right track.
I do like that Wong is the new Sorcerer Supreme.
On a technicality. On a technicality.
It wasn't a goddamn technicality. It was Doctor Strange's idea to get them all blipped.
True.
Like, they have made Doctor Strange such a dick. It's got to be deliberate, but he is an
Isn't it funny how people kept on thinking that it was Nightmare posing as him because of how dickish he was acting to Peter?
They just have. I think they're trying to find a character for him because the first movie wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole
I like the first movie.
I thought it was boring. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough.
It's an inherently problematic concept, and that, I mean, people complain about the Mulan movie, but what they did with the Ancient One was a total, we don't want to piss off China.
Oh yeah, big time.
Because that character was originally Tibetan.
Yeah. Now here's different thing. All right, what do you see about the delays from DC?
I just don't care about DC things.
You don't?
The movies. DC is a television
Thank you.
strong. Bless you.
Thank
Because
you.
they're right.
They do well at television.
Mhm.
Their movies are very hit and miss, so I don't pay attention. And then when one's good, I'm like, "Yay, this is awesome!" But yeah, I always like the first movies when it's like this new, shiny, fresh, original idea and this sweet. The way DC is marketing everything is like this package deal. I'm not feeling it.
Now, do you think the Batman and the Discovery merger is going to change all that?
No, because this stuff's shot, right? Like I don't give a
Oh
damn
no,
about
I know. No, this
Aquaman
stuff is
2.
shot. I'm talking about going forward.
DC is always going to be a mess on film. There's some interesting potential for the Batman and that universe. Please, like, just to me, I'd be happy if they put Momoa's Aquaman in the Suicide Squad or something, and
Agreed.
just nuked that entire franchise. Right?
Mhm.
Keep him.
What about
He's good.
what about Gal Gadot?
Okay, that second Wonder Woman movie was garbage.
Okay, we're
Yes,
not
it
talking about.
was.
It was garbage. Hot
I, well,
garbage.
I have a guilty pleasure for it.
I didn't like the first one either, though, so I don't think I should be talking.
Oh,
The first one was 2/3 a good movie.
but then the last act just.
It's always the last act. It's always the last act.
Wait, that's the problem with all Marvel movies. The last act, the final boss battles are always wasted because they just have to. It's always
Oh no.
rush, rinse, repeat.
Bye, Shelby.
rinse.
The problem with
I know I gotta watch Sunny Boy.
the problem with Marvel movies is they take the not great ones take too long to get into it because they have to cram in too many slow motion action sequences. So then they race the ending.
Yes, they've been doing that ever since ever since Iron Man. Iron Man did that the whole way. Although Iron Man,
It was the first Avengers movie. The first Avengers movie kind of locked it in.
You
Yes.
saying they got Snydered?
They got
No.
Whedoned.
they got Whedoned.
It made
No,
$1
because I'm
billion.
saying like Snyder loves slow motion.
Oh yeah, the
Yes.
speed up ramp, the speed up, roll and slow down ramping effect.
It wouldn't have mattered how good or how bad that first Avengers movie was. There was so much build from all the individual films. It would have made $1 billion no matter what it did. But Whedon got credit and it fucked up a lot in the MCU. Like every time they made an Avengers movie, they had to spend an entire cycle cleaning up and apologizing for what they did in the Avengers movie.
Oh yeah, like again, the stuff with Hulk and Black Widow, they had to sweep that under the rug.
What the hell was that? Like, do you notice how many relationships?
She was acting like Betty Ross because they didn't want to have Betty. They didn't want to have Betty in there.
But how? Like, okay, Vision and Scarlet Witch are just together.
Well, oh yeah.
I want to see how that happened, man. Like Hulk and Black Widow getting.
Now you can't blame Whedon on that one. He introduced the characters, but he had nothing to do with what happened afterwards. So you cannot blame Whedon on that one.
No,
I felt really bad that I actually liked the pairing because I didn't know that she was with Hawkeye in the comics.
Technically not. No. Technically, Widow and Hawkeye were never fully a thing. They've always been close friends, but never really romantic.
See,
everybody lied to me.
We're getting into some screwed up continuity with that whole thing.
Yeah, because Hawkeye always had either Mockingbird or his family from Ultimates.
Well, they basically made it Mockingbird. I mean, that was that little Easter egg in Hawkeye.
True. Well, how many Mockingbirds do we have now?
Okay, fair point. But it's like Disney, like these movies, superhero movies should be romantic. I mean, that scene where Captain America,
Incredible Hulk. I still think
the plane is crashing, and he's talking to Peggy, and they're having this whole moment. That was beautiful.
Again, Incredible Hulk's probably one of the few that got it right.
And
the stuff with Hulk and Betty, especially that moment where he's out taking that right from Hulk Gray, where he's yelling at the storm, and she just comes out saying, "It's okay. It's just the rain."
But the fact that they skip over those things, I mean, that I think is why the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies have such a great core, is they don't skip over those human moments.
Sony got it right in that moment, Yeah.
Well, that was heavily influenced by Marvel, right?
But, right. Well, it was, let's be honest, though, they're still following what they've done with the other movies as well.
if you're not a Marvel nerd, you want to know how a witch and a machine dude with a red face fall in love.
But yeah, but again, that was the Russo brothers in that regard when they took over. They just
Well,
jumped to having those two be together because there was a time skip.
but part of it was just Whedon did such a terrible job with Scarlet Witch that I know taking over, I would have been like, this character's
Well, again,
nothing.
he introduced her mostly though, and then killed off her brother.
He took away all of her power and sex appeal because that's what Joss Whedon does.
You're right. And then and how much did Elizabeth Olsen want to wear the outfit? She wanted that outfit.
Yeah,
And then she finally got it twice in the recent stuff.
But there's a shining example of an actress went out, said what she was told to say, that, oh no, that original outfit was so demeaning.
Yeah, now
we're dead, Dr. Soup. We're actually dead.
Yep. Now here's one last thing with Brie Larson though. As now, how much of it do you think was her really wanting to say all the stuff she said about the girl empowerment, and how much of it do you think was marketing telling her to do it?
Okay. I don't have a problem with them wanting more women and minorities reviewing that movie precisely because of what happened with the Turning Red review.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
I think it got spun the wrong way. And the problem was, if the movie had just been fun, I think people would have... Which it wasn't. Like, the problem with Captain Marvel was that it just wasn't a good movie.
It wasn't. Now that was the case. That's one of the movies where I point to saying this is a case of wanting to have female empowerment, but doing it the wrong way in all counts.
Is Charlie's Angels good?
No. Well, the recent movie, no.
No, the original was the
original
2000s.
Yes, those two movies are fun.
The reason I'm saying is because I keep getting it recommended to me on Hulu, but I look at the cover and I say the cover looks cringy.
That was the Lucy Liu ones, right?
Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore, and Cameron Diaz.
No matter what, you get to stare at Lucy Liu. I am just not objective when it comes to her. I just think she's so great.
Agree. I mean, I still love her in Elementary. I love Elementary a lot because of her.
I love Elementary too.
I love it. You know what still is one of my favorite moments? It's right at the end of the first episode when they're talking about the baseball game and everything. And the way Holmes is able to just deduce everything. Pop ball, go in this. And she's all like, no, you can't be right. And then,
I am a huge Sherlockian, and that is the most canon Sherlock Holmes series.
Him able to deduce something that he shouldn't be able to deduce.
Well, just they don't, other than gender swapping.
we can hear Momo being rubbing against the mic.
Yes, Momo is like, get off the internet, mommy. I want.
We're almost done. We're wrapping up. We're wrapping up.
But other than, like, I think because they did gender swap Watson, they were so loyal to everything.
Oh, they didn't just gender swap Watson. They also merged and completely changed Moriarty
and Irene Adler. They merged,
which worked. And again,
worked really well.
They changed so much and yet stayed to the heart of it without making it preachy or artsy fartsy like a certain other adaptation I could mention.
Oh, the BBC Sherlock was hot fucking garbage.
I love Totally Spies. All right, I will thank them.
Wait, what about Totally Spies?
The one who has Lucy Liu, Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, but also made Totally Spies possible.
Oh, very true. That is very true.
That's the first Charlie's Angels movie. It was all right, right,
yeah.
Momo?
Yep. All right. So yeah, we can start wrapping up.
Oh, I do want to ask Liana one question.
Go ahead.
We have the same time zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think it's 9:30 here.
Yes.
Yep. Same here.
So I was wondering, how possible is it for you to watch me and Tristan's live premiere tomorrow morning?
What time?
Let me check. Let me check. Hold on. I'm right at her YouTube channel right now. It is going to be tomorrow at 9 a.m. Not tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Yeah.
Possibly. Email me the link.
I got it. I will do.
I have a meeting at 8:30 tomorrow morning, so
All
hopefully
right,
it won't go more than a half hour.
I'll DM you it.
Ooh.
I'll DM
Okay.
you it. Yep, hold
Right,
on.
Momo? Yeah. Momo.
Oh, I guess I'll also about our stream tomorrow.
Well, yeah, well, let's talk about that off air because,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Wow!
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you two for joining me. And this was just such a good movie. Great to talk to you all about it. I've been waiting for this for the past few days to talk about this. And yeah, thank you all and take care.